Hi, my name's Melinda Price. In 2024, I'm racing in Radical Cup Australia with Volante Rosso. Very much old dog, new tricks kind of thing, trying to get jiggy with the technology here. The OG gear is fantastic. The socks are really, really comfortable, gives you enough movement on the pedal, but they still breathe really nicely. And the gloves are super comfortable. They breathe a little bit better than your racing gloves. Really love it.
For the fifth year of the preeminent, what is now the preeminent, I should say, V8 Supercar Racing Series in the virtual world in Australia, the Sebring International Raceway, that old airstrip in Florida, plays host to what should be a fascinating season opener. All the preambles done, ladies and gentlemen. We went through a fascinating 4-week qualifying series. We've gone through, obviously, the testing, the trials and tribulations that go with that. The top 20 watched on, having already secured their spot on the grid. They enjoyed the fanfare of watching the other seats on this grid be fought for. And now all roads lead to the start of a massive 12-round season, which looks distinctly different to what we had this time last year, and also sounds a little bit different off the top tonight as well. But it's the traditional starting point. The top and tail of the championship remains exactly the same, and in excess of 3,750 kilometres stand between us and crowning the 2026 Logitech G Pro Supercar champion on the platforms of the Australian Sim Racing Group. It is terrific to have your company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world on this Wednesday evening. No, it's not it's not Scott Rankin. It's Zach Caban stepping in for Scott Rankin tonight. The poor bloke has gone down for the count, would you believe it, on the opening day of school. School's back in session, ladies and gentlemen. The homework's done. The BS is about to stop. The racing's about to commence. We're so excited about that. In fact, the words that came down the line to us this morning were, I'm rather something pumped, from the one and only voice of this series. His name is Stephen Sandman Clark. He is alongside me, mate. And I have to say, I'm right there with you. This is going to be a fascinating season. So much change year on year. We'll delve through that over the course of the next 45 minutes or so before lights out, away we go. But a lot to look forward to. And this is never a dull race to get the season off to a bright and friendly start.
You're not wrong there. Good evening, Zach. Good evening, everyone, wherever you're watching around Australia, around the world. V8s are back, baby, and we're back for Sebring. So Sebring has always turned it on for us, no matter when we've come here. It's been brilliant racing, and tonight I don't think will be much different. The beauty thing that we've got about tonight, though, as the nerves crept in last year, it was the first round of having the new Gen 3 car. Now we've got 12 months under our belt with the Gen 3, and I know a lot of people are after that P1 position, and this is where it's going to start tonight. Amazing round for round number one, as always. Let's check out some of the details for Sebring. If you know it, you love it. What this track has to offer, it always brings great racing. 38 laps around here, and the critical fuel number for us to remember is lap 19. So 2 compulsory pit stops, as always. So that's something something that the teams will have to play with. But this racetrack, we know the conditions of this racetrack as far as the different styles of, you've got tarmac, you've got concrete, the bumps, the curbs, and it never disappoints. So really looking forward to it. Love that it's round one of our series, and that's half the reason I was excited for tonight. As we go and check out to see what else has happened throughout the season, team changes. So there's been a bit of driver movement swapping around throughout the season. So you can see Bo Albert, Roby Gibbs, they've gone over to Chief Esports. So I think there was a bit of a concern, I think, coming towards the end of last year that maybe Chiefs weren't going to be around. So really good to see that they're back. And of course, everyone else there's so many different teams and driver lineups. And of course, the Logitech, you've got ODBM, if you're wondering what that is. It's the Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport team. So they've got Logitech G as one of their primary sponsors, as a team sponsor. So great to have them on board, and a bit of a new look and some shuffling around. So that'll no doubt catch us out throughout the season, but it's going to be really great. It's always one of those things, isn't it, when you see driver movements and you just spit out a name and a driver with a team, and we get it wrong for round one. So never worry about that. And then look at our rookie list that we've got for 2026 as well. So spot out your favourite team and driver. There's so many teams that are really looking forward to chase down. Well, basically everyone's going to be after that number one position. You know, Jared Filsell put on an absolute clinic in 2025. Everyone's out to stop him in 2026. Are they going to be able to do it? Time will tell. But guess what? That time starts tonight. Sebring round one. Can't wait.
Defending champion, defending Sebring winner, and let's be perfectly honest, he finished 2024 with such a strong run, such great momentum. He really is the benchmark at the moment. Who are his main threats in terms of retaining that title and being dethroned, Sam, in your opinion?
Oh, mate, that's the beauty of our series, is that personally, I believe this is the number one V8 category we've got in Australia. There's no doubt about that. So the list is long. You can't just reel off one or two names. There's probably about 10 or 15 genuine people that could probably take it, Jared, and the teams as well. So, you know, you think about TTR has been pretty quiet of late. You know, I'd probably expect them, I'd like them to maybe lift their game, because they probably haven't been as predominant as they would like. We know that Chiefs Esports, they're keen to take it up to Jared Filsell and the whole Lobs team, because them as an outfit are probably one of the most polished teams we've got on our grid. So everyone needs to strive to probably be where at Lobs is, because they are really showing everyone how it's to be done in real world, sim world racing.
I love these track maps, ladies and gentlemen. There's always some indiscrepancies, particularly with the Yanks. It's almost as though they forget to count somewhere along the way. You'll notice there's a couple of kinks that don't have a number attached to them. And turn 17, Sunset Boulevard, Sunset Bend, let's be perfectly honest, if that was an oval, that would count as two corners. There's no consistency to track maps in the United States, Sam, but it remains one of our favourites. And, of course, it's quite fitting. We serve as the lead-in to what will be a massive weekend of real-world motorsport with the second round of the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship there at the Sebring International Raceway. You'll be able to watch that on Sunday morning if you're keen on burning the candle at both ends. Let's have a look at the calendar, Sam, because I'm fascinated by this, right? I was doing the numbers this morning. 5 changes year on year. There's tracks that are coming into the calendar that we haven't seen here in 2025. The Enduros, that's the massive change year on year. They're going smack bang into the middle of winter, which means we don't have to contend with 5 different time zones, only 3. Shell v Power Motorsport Park at the Bend comes into the series. Winton's back. There's 3 sprint rounds. That's 1 more year on year than what we saw. There's a new venue in St. Petersburg. There's probably a second new venue coming our way with that TBA slot on Remembrance Day. That's a magnificent schedule.
Oh, you're not wrong, mate. And one thing that gets me excited about this is the amount of Aussie flags that we've got. So much, you know, we're slowly building up our Aussie content, and we've got it in our championship. I love that the championship isn't at the end of that the Enduros aren't at the end of our championship. I love that that's in the middle, and we've still got some races to play out. And like you said, St. Pete, I'm excited about that being on the calendar as well.
And of course, that's the newest content that's been dropped by the powers that be at iRacing in the recent past. Just reminding you of the ins and outs of this race, ladies and gentlemen. 6.019 kilometres this circuit, 38 laps the journey tonight. That equates to 228.72 kilometres. Fuel tank capped at 70%, which is roughly 93.1 litres. The tank length we expect is 19 laps, which means the critical lap is the halfway mark of this race. But, Sam, man, you got to do two runs down pit lane, 2 compulsory pit stops tonight. So even though the critical lap is lap 19, we could see many drivers come in either side of that. And the big determining factor, I guess, regarding when everybody's going to dive for the lane will be the high probability, given what we've seen in the past here at Sebring, of the Logitech safety car making an appearance.
Absolutely, and Sebring's got that little bit of a reputation, has it? And it's nothing to do with the racetrack. It's about how great this racetrack is at providing good hard racing, and that's what we normally see from time to time. So I don't doubt that our safety car will make an appearance, but that's what's good about this too, is that the teams and drivers need to stay on their toes and be ready for any possible outcome, because you just don't know what's going to happen and how it's going to play out.
Let's be perfectly honest, ladies and gentlemen. This is my second Guernsey in here with Sandman this year. He and Jay Kennedy are the only constants. But we want to say a very good evening to our good mate and colleague, Scott Rankin, who bailed out this morning of being in the booth tonight. Gutted to be doing so, but was in fine form when we caught up with him about 20 minutes ago. And we want to wish him an early happy birthday for Saturday as well. That wasn't lost on us when he dropped that hint in earlier during reminding us that he's got a cricket grand final to attend to on the weekend as well. Hopefully he's back fighting fit for that one as well. Sebring, great history here. Some big names on that list. Chaos in 2024, but some worthy winners and some prominent figures across the ASRG platforms, Sandman, on that winners list. Brady Myers, Madison Down, Robbie Gibbs, Jared Filsell. As I said, the defending champion again starts the year as the man to beat.
Yeah, and the closing laps and the last lap is always on the highlight reel around Sebring. So we always get those chaotic finishes. The final turn onto the front straight when you race into the checkered flag, there's always a little bit of biff and barge. So, like you said, there's always been, some drama. There's been some mixed results and all the rest of it, but provides great racing. And I know Brady Myers, Madison Down, Robbie Gibbs and Jared Filsell, they'll all be wrapped that they've got a win under their belt. They'd be looking to make it another one as well.
One big point of interest too, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll tell you more about this as we go, between last year and this year is the significant gap. It's 5 weeks, 6 weeks even, between round 1 and round 2. But there'll be no shortage of content to enjoy here on a Wednesday night. Wednesday night is ASRG night on the SimSpeed Esports Network platforms right around Australia and the world, and we'll tell you more about that as the evening goes on. And the season, I should say, Sandman, even though it is the same in terms of the length, the number of rounds, and probably close enough the number of kilometres of racing will do. There is one more race, I should say, than what there was last year, by the virtue of there being 3 sprint rounds, not 2. Significantly, because we're not waiting for Adelaide to drop on iRacing like we were last year, the season will wrap up on the first Wednesday of December. So the season, top to tail, 2 weeks shorter than the last year.
Yeah, it's going to provide some great racing, and no doubt everyone's been excited, and their preparation for this year has been spot on, and love that Adelaide's our grand finale. Love that we got to have that in last year's championship as well. So pumped about that, and basically I can't wait for these cars to get on track.
And they're about to hit the circuit right now, my friend. You may have seen a graphic there as well, ladies and gentlemen, just as Sam and I were chewing the fat here. There are some drivers that have rightly earned their spot on the grid tonight that are unable to occupy the seat. So as a result of the absence of Daniel Poulton, Philippa Burquita, Dylan Rudd and Andre Heimgardner, bit like cabing in, ranking out. We've called in some troops off the bench, Sam, man. Will Buchanan, great to see him getting a Guernsey on the grid tonight. Dennis Gaderick as well, so too Brian Borg and William Sapstead. So, I mean, obviously all those guys, we saw them through the qualifying series. Buchanan will be particularly pleased, of course. We were talking to him last week on the GSRC platforms, and he said that this was a wait and see whether he'd be racing here with the ASRG Logitech G Pro Invitational opener or having a tear around the Hungaro ring. That were his options tonight. He said, I'm on the reserves list. If I get the call up, you know where I'll be. And it's great to see him and the AITX Revolution E-Racing squad being rewarded with an opportunity to go and turn some laps in anger around Sebring. There's the defending champion, Lobs Esports, the ones to beat in 2026. But year on year, Sam, man, there's been some massive changes, some continuity as well. The heavyweights remain Lobs and Trans-Tasman, but you look at Eclipse, you look at Vermilion, you look at Orbit Drop Bear, of course, now under the Logitech banner as well. Great to see Logitech expanding their horizons and expanding their footprint in this sport with the collaboration there with Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport, and can't wait to see what their new car liveries look like as well. That's a work in progress because that deal was only announced 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time last night. But even though the field looks very different in terms of the amount of year-on-year change we've had, the heavyweight teams remain firmly in their place.
Yeah, that's right. And one thing that our keen-eyed fans might have noticed is with Jared Filsell, he's not running the number one this year. So he's gone with his traditional 94. He thinks that the number one is a little bit of bad luck. So he's ditched the number one for this season, and a lot of people strive for that. He's obviously a previous champion, so he's probably had the enjoyment of having number one, but he thinks it brings bad luck. So that was an interesting change that I saw for 2026 as well.
They get a little bit philosophical, and it's a mental thing with those drivers, isn't it? Some are very happy to run it. Some of them view it as a bit of a curse. Some of them view it as a target. It's always interesting to hear the rationale that comes through when they make the decision one way or another. 2:22 local circuit time there in the United States, March 18, 2026, 24 degrees, the ambient, 42 on track. Track temperature will always be a talking point, stifling heat, and of course tyre wear, that will be a talking point throughout the course of the night. Partly cloudy conditions, southeasterly winds 15 kilometres an hour, 78% humidity. But the good news, I guess, and anyone that participated in the weekend's OSR Bathurst 12 hour, which many of our drivers did, Sam, man, they'll be happy to see that the rain is staying well clear of Sebring for the moment.
Absolutely, and rain wasn't something that we spoke about pretty much all of last season. You know,
No.
It played its part in the qualifying series, but yeah, I think, like you said, there'll be a few people that'll be very happy to see that sunshine and dry racetrack. And boy, oh boy, here we are, 16 minutes to go in qualifying. And mate, I've been so excited today for this race and to get back going. Not only just because I'm a commentator in the series, but I just thoroughly enjoy watching these guys race. Like I said, I think we're the best supercars racing brand on iRacing at the moment, and the talent that we've got behind these wheels and in these sim rigs is nothing short of first class. And mate, I can't wait to see what tonight's going to bring.
And the same applies, by the way, spoiler alert for everybody that's going to rejoin us in 2 weeks' time for the Porsche Pro Invitational season opener. That field, I look at the qualifying result sheet there, and it's as stacked as anything you've ever seen in Australasian sim racing. So talent left, right and centre. Looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. 12 rounds of that series coming up as well, taking the place of what was the GT Pro Invitational last year and moving into prime time on a Wednesday night instead of being the lead into the weekend. First flying laps being booked and banked right now, ladies and gentlemen. Jared Filsell, 2:03.249. Already 2 tenths up on the competition. Good early benchmarks laid down by Zach Ratway-White, Luke Rosella and Josh Anderson as well. And good to see Josh Anderson, one of several competitors on this grid that you would associate with real-world exploits as well. And Andrew Gilliam going up into second at the end of the first flying lap.
It looks like Jake's going to have bought his lap there. So, yeah, good to see. And there's a couple of people that have bought it. And it's so easy to do around here. We talk about an aborted lap. So if you just get a wheel off and get an off track, then unfortunately that will scrap your lap time. So we know with these Dunlops that they're probably best for a one-off lap in qualifying. So if you throw your lap away, basically everyone heads straight down pit lane, puts on a new set. And we can see Madison Down, who's on screen. He hasn't recorded a time yet either. So... but still plenty of time. It's not panic stations just yet, but it is a mental thing. You do want to get that banker. We speak about it probably every broadcast, that it's important to get that banker. And the likes of Filsell, Gilliam, Rattray-White, they'd be wrapped with their bankers because they're first, second, third for the moment.
I mentioned year on year the calendar changes. We start and finish in the same place, Sebring and the Adelaide Parklands. Obviously, the Enduros remain the same in the order, Phillip Island, Sandown, Bathurst. But the circuits that have gone are some cracking classics. Red Bull Ring, Watkins Glen, Belle Isle, Detroit, Road America and Jerez. They've been replaced by the national configuration, the NASCAR configuration of Mexico City, plus Shell V Power, The Bend and St. Petersburg and TBC. So year on year, some massive change, but also some continuity. Good to see Road Atlanta, Spa-Francorchamps also retaining their place on the schedule year on year. And great that we back up Sebring and we stay on the east coast of America, Sandman, and go to Road Atlanta next, because that is an epic racetrack no matter what car you take there, and it's sprint racing, which will make it even more electrifying.
Absolutely. I guess it's one of those catch-22, isn't it? There's so many great racetracks, but the calendar's only so long. So
exactly,
it's what do you do? You know, there's mate. You think about some of the amazing racetracks that probably some that we haven't even been to as yet. You know, that could possibly be on the calendar. But you know, it's what do you drop? What do you keep? But it's a great calendar and something to keep all our drivers interested throughout 2026.
Good to see Dennis Gatherick, one of the late call-ups for Guernsey tonight, out there now in the Synergy Sim Racing entry. He's making his way back on to pit road as well. So what's the plan of attack here? If it was you, Sam, man, going out in vets qualifying, what would you do? Go out, lay down a banker, come in, slap a fresh set of rubber on it and go again?
Absolutely, and that's what everyone wants to do. The likes of Madison Down and that, who may have made a meal of their first one and lost that lap, they're obviously on a little bit of a different strategy, but it's not all that bad. The only problem is that when Madison's now starting his lap, he's got the lights going, is that there's going to be drivers coming out of pit lane, so that could balk him a little bit. So he'd be trying to get as much clean air as he can, just so he's not interrupted by anyone. And it's not going to be intentional. It's just, unfortunately, they're on a different strategy. They're on a different layout as far as they're on their hot laps now, when the other guys are out now on this sort of out lap. So Madison will be looking for that clear track and hopefully getting a banker done now.
Madison Down, one of the stalwarts of this caper, a Hall of Famer in these parts. Great to see him leading the TTR assault on the 2026 Logitech G Pro Invitational Series campaign once again. We're right on board with him now through the first sector. Let's see, the banker time, the time to beat so far. Jared Philsell, 2:03.249. Andrew Gilliam got to within 0.016 of that, and they've got nearly 2/10 then back to Zach Ratway, White, Luke Rosella, and Josh Anderson, the top five in the early stages here. Almost half of the session burnt, ladies and gentlemen. And just to go back to your point, Sam, man, as we ride on board here with Madison Down, and just how easy does he make it look, ladies and gentlemen, that it might look like that, but trust me, this guy has put in hours upon years of work to be where he is and be as well revered as he is in this caper. The one thing that you touch on with the calendar, we've only got so many calendars, so many slots on that calendar. That's what makes our series unique as well, mate, because a lot of the virtual world, lap traffic, back market traffic, slow traffic might play a little bit of a role here in balking down, but he's clear so far. Let's ride through. Oh, it's going to be tough from here, thankfully. That car in front, that might have been the WK&P entry, getting out of the road, saw down coming. Off-track's not necessarily a thing here. We've got the Watkins Glen approach to that corner on the other side of the white line. Ride the ripple strip. Watch all the traffic play its part here and maybe getting out of the road until a certain point, because at the end of the time, of the day, Sam, man, yeah, it's absolutely stuffed, unfortunately.
Oh, he's grilled his teammate.
It's gone. It's done.
Motor's done. He's not going to be able to get back to pit lane. There's not enough pace in that. And that's unreal. People, these drivers should have been looking in their mirror and knowing that there were cars on hot laps. And this is exactly what we touched on. So Madison Down will start dead motherless last now, only because people weren't paying attention and looking in their rearview mirror.
95% of that lap, he got away with it. And as soon as he got to where everybody's probably getting into the groove to start their flyer themselves, bang, it all goes up in smoke, quite literally. And Madison Down is going to be stone motherless last, but that's going to be one hell of a drive to watch, him tearing through the field from 45th. No doubt Race Control will be having a look at that at the moment.
It's not good enough, Zach.
It's not good enough, is it?
I'm sitting here saying that we're the best category in sim racing for supercars, and we have that. And people should be paying attention to what's happening behind them. I know they're prepping for a lap, but they do need to keep their wits about them. And to have one of these teammates involved in it as well, there probably should have been a little bit of communication. You know, he might have zigged when someone zagged. It's hard now that the replay's already, the incident's already happened, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. But if we're the best category here that I think we are, I think our drivers need to do a little bit better of a job of looking in their rearview mirror.
Robbie Gibbs, the winner here a couple of years ago, goes through, completes another lap. Here's Andre Youssef coming round to complete a flyer. So far, no competitive marker laid down by Ryan O'Sullivan, James Chastanov, our own Brenton Hobson, and, of course, the winner of round 2 of the qualifying series at Hockenheim, Lachlan Capel. Until now, Capel comes up the order well and truly. Madison down, of course, will start Stone Motherless last. Quick shout out to our crew and race control as well. It's a thankless job at times, but somebody's got to do it. And these guys don't mind, obviously, playing headmaster with this lot. Of course, Mike Korolev and Greg Favell. Mike's in the race director role, and Chief Steward tonight is Greg Favell. And if past ventures to Sebring are anything to go by, Sam, man, he might have a late night ahead of him.
And Rosella's just gone to the top of the timesheet. So he had a nice little draft there with his teammate in Jared Philsell. So have a look at that. Rosella, Philsell, Gilliam, your top 3.
And that was the other point that I wanted to make as well, mate. How key is it to have someone to dance with in a qualifying session this tightly fought and hard contested?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen this racetrack, that straightaway where Madison Down got caught up in that incident before the last corner. If you're someone there nose to tail, you can get a couple of kilometres an hour, and that can improve your lap time in a big way. So it helps when you've got someone there to follow. So if you've got teammates or you've got friends that you can do that with, absolutely, it's a good advantage. And I'm glad that Luke had a crack at it, and he's used it to grab provisional P1 for the moment with 7 minutes to go.
The 427 on screen here and now, of course, this year being driven by James Chastanov, one of the 20 to make it through the Cutthroat qualifying series. Sam, man, hard to believe that's the last time you and I caught up, and that was already about 7 weeks ago. That series went by in the blink of an eye, and it's almost as though you turn around twice, blink once, and we arrive on the doorstep of round 1 of the main game proper. Have a look at pit lane, an absolute hub of activity at the moment, the type of logjam you'd associate with any highway in Queensland during peak hour, and the type of logjam you'll get when a safety car is deployed tonight. And after what we've just seen in qualifying, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Here's Kurt Stenberg. We always love riding on board with Stenny. Here he is for Trans-Tasman Racing, taking off on yet another lap, and currently sitting down in 32nd.
He's trying to put a lap together. I think it was him that got involved with Madison, along with a number of other cars in that drama. So he's now got eyes forward, up on the steering wheel, exactly the way we love to see Stenny attack this race car, and he's hoping to improve from that position P32 at the moment.
One of the great fascinating elements of this series year on year, Sam, man, is seeing who grabs the opportunity gifted to them by virtue of a good run through the qualifying series, getting that golden ticket, jumping up into the main game proper this season. We mentioned earlier, it was on your Logitech G Hub screen there, the rookies in this campaign, a lot of whom, of course, cut their teeth in the qualifying series. There are a few guys here that are going to be well worth keeping an eye on based on what we saw during that 4-week campaign. Arguably, different circuits, different scenarios, circumstances, etc. But still, there are a lot of people there that impressed. Yeah,
absolutely. And the beauty about, as much as I love round 1 for the championship, I do love the qualifying series, because we do see it's very quick, short, sharp races back to back, 4 weeks in a row. You don't have all that time to adjust and test for a racetrack. So time's limited, and you do start to see the stars shine. So like you said, I think there's some good talent out there, and improving on our field for 2026.
So Luke Rosella, 203.153, 1/10, well, barely, 0.095 up on Jared Philsell. Here's Stenberg trying to improve on 32nd. Clear run onto the main, straight across the start-finish line. He will go. Is there improvement there? We wait and see. There is slight improvement, but it's not enough to move him up beyond 32nd for the moment. Good work from Stenberg, 204.013. Yes, good point from Jay Kennedy, our of course, magnificent producer and director of these broadcasts here on the SimSpeed Esports Network. We had a message come through to our commentary thread earlier in the day from Scott Rankin, and Gibbsy was just, we're riding on board with the 2024 Sebring winner right here and now, ladies and gentlemen. He messaged Scott Rankin to suss out if he was going to be on comms tonight. Rankin's sick. I'd trade Rankin's illness and raise him Robbie Gibbs's soreness any day of the week, because he's just let us know that he might not necessarily make it full race distance. Don't be surprised if he parks it early, Sam, man. Quite extraordinary that he's out there in the first place. I don't think I'd bounce back this quickly. He had minor surgery yesterday on his tailbone region, so no doubt he's a bit sore.
Yeah, but have a look at the pace he's got, for being that sore, and he's just on the cusp of missing top 10. So P11 at the moment, and I might add too, that's a great looking race car. I love that paint scheme. Really looks the business. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many laps he can make it. But, all the best for a speedy recovery. But like you said, surgery yesterday and in the car and having a crack today. Good on him. That shows some dedication there from Robbie.
Maybe a testament to modern day science, and maybe the strength of Panadol painkillers, or maybe he was lucky enough to wrestle a green whistle out of the hospital with him yesterday as well. It just sounds excruciatingly painful. Hopefully he's been able to put some padding and some comfort onto his Simrig seat, just for the sake of getting him through as far as he can tonight here at Sebring. And that was a big moment that he was lucky to get away with. Have a look at the traffic making their way around, because the last roll of the dice is about to get underway, ladies and gentlemen. 2 minutes and 16 seconds left in this session. Some of these guys will make it back to the strike. They'll get 2 bites at the cherry if they want it. Others will not be so lucky. Here we go. Last roll of the dice in qualifying for round 1 of the Logitech G Pro Invitational for 2026. Robbie Gibbs in 11th at the moment, 203.556. Slight improvement from him, but again, not enough to move from 11th on the grid. You look at the field here, Sam, man, top 35 covered by less than a second. This is why. So forget about what happened earlier in qualifying. That's why it's the best supercar series in the country.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. We've got some brilliant drivers, and the times show that just how close the competition is, and that's what makes the qualifying series so exciting as well too, because they know the competition's tough. They're the best drivers in Australia, and boy, oh boy, here we go. Look at this, Brenton Hobson. Look at that. He's got a bit of splash of Days of Thunder on that paint scheme. Good to see Hobbo back for 2026.
Have a look at the Pink Panther vibe going on there. And
another Days of Thunder delivery, the old City Chev. So we've had Superflow and now City Chev. Love it.
Did I hear somewhere in the grapevine that the team behind the first one were discussing maybe reviving, doing a remake, doing a second version, bit similar to Top Gun Maverick? Yeah. That's
right. Not that I'm in the know, but I have read and saw that Tom Cruise is actually in talks to do Days of Thunder 2. So
why not?
Yeah. Yep,
I'd be all for it. Josh Horton into pit lane, so he's bailed out of it. Luke Rosella, Jared Filsell, Andrew Gilliam. James Scott moves up at a 5th spot late in the piece. 30 seconds left on the clock here, ladies and gentlemen. Qualifying number 1 of the season. Filsell back to the top. Gilliam goes to within 0.01. And we've got Jake Maloney parked up, waiting to find a clear gap in the traffic, and hopefully leaving himself just enough time to get back to the control line before the clock expires. 5 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1. Gibbs and Co won't make it. Qualifying is done in Florida. Last gasp for anyone that's still out there having a run. No, a lot of them bailing out of it. Phil Sell steals it at the death, and 0.049 covers the top 3. Can you believe that? The champ picks up where he left off, Sam, man.
So I'm just trying to see if there's anyone else on a hot lap that's finishing across the line, but it looks like a lot of these drivers are heading to the lane, and he may have picked up exactly where he left off. Blake Warboys, he's on a lap.
Great to see Warboys
starting his lap before. So Warboys, no, he's obviously not happy with his time, so he's pitted. And our Superflow throwback for Days of Thunder, Brenton Hobson, he's gone into the lane. He'll start out at P30.
Here's Jake Burton. Will he zig and go down pit lane, or will he zag and come around and finish the lap? It'll be interesting to see what the roll of the dice is. He's sitting in 11th at the moment, so he's sitting in the top half of the field well and truly. Does he want to finish it off? Probably not. No. Come straight down pit road. So we are, I would hazard a guess, done. Do we have a track map to verify who's still out there?
That's it. Yeah, that's everyone.
Everyone is done. Wowee. The big story out of all of that, obviously, Madison down, and now it's just a case of salvaging something out of the night. We're not sure exactly what, Sam Man, but he will need to salvage something. The only way is up.
Yeah, well, he's literally got nothing to lose, has he? He can only improve from here on in. So that gives him a little bit of, he can be a little bit bold with some strategy. He can try a couple of different things because he's literally got nothing to lose now. So, yeah, interesting night. Not obviously the way he wanted to start 2026, but is what it is. And that was qualifying and a very strong showing from the Lobs guys as we're not too surprised for 2026. Yeah.
And only 0.014 between pole and second. So, yes, Phil Sell picks up where he left off, winning the championship, winning the Sebring round last year, and will lead the field to green again in 2026, but only by the skin of his teeth. It's a lockout of the podium with Luke Rosella alongside the first of the Eclipse SimSport entries, one of the guys that impressed during the GC Pro Invitational last year in Zach Ratway White. Third row on this grid for you, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, as we scroll on through. How good is the new graphics package by Jay and the SimSpeed crew, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Brenton Hobson and Brenton O'Brien and everybody else that's had a role in that. Well done. James Scott, Brady Myers on the third row of the grid, the first of the Chiefs eSport and Trans-Tasman entries, respectively. Fourth row of the grid looks like this. Ryan O'Sullivan, great to see him on the grid in the main game. Of course, was an Enduro co-driver last season. Big team sport, or changer rather, year on year for him. He's alongside Bradley Ratu, one of the invited drivers into the series. Of course, missed out in the qualifying series, got invited in at the official's discretion. He shares the fourth row of the grid and is the best place to the Orbit cars. Josh Anderson for Trans-Tasman and Thomas McMillan makes it 4 Lob Sports entries in the top 10, Sam Man. Take us through 11 to 20.
So Jake Burton from GTR is in P11. Robbie Gibbs in that great-looking Chiefs eSports car in P12. And for Vermilion Esports, they've got their lockout there with Wayne Burke and Rick Kuznetsov back in 13th and 14th position. In 15th, Blake Warboys, we saw his run to the checkered flag, couldn't improve any little bit more. And Lachlan Capel, looking forward to seeing what their paint schemes will reveal in the coming weeks. Hayden Veld in 17th and Emily Jones in 18th. Good to see Emily back on the grid for 2026.
One of your favourites, of course.
Absolutely. And speaking of favourites, look at that paint scheme for Tom Freya. City Chevrolet, love it. And Will Buchanan rounding out your 20th position on the grid.
We'll get to our Logitech G Pro grid walk for you in just a few moments, ladies and gentlemen. Jared Philsell and Ryan O'Sullivan standing on by. Row 11, Damon Woods for Door Esports by SX and Jacob Riley. O'Reilly, rather. There's a question mark where there should be an apostrophe. It threw me. I'm sorry. Jacob O'Reilly for Vermilion Esports on the outside of row 11. Row 12 is where you're going to find, and again, take note of the margins, ladies and gentlemen. These guys are only 0.5 of a second off the pace, and they're outside the top 20. Rain Campbell for Vermilion and Adam Briggs for Synergy Sim Racing make up the 12th row of the grid. And, of course, all the Synergy Sim Racing squad proudly supported by the crew at Sud Speed this year. Sam Blacklock, another Logitech GODBM entry alongside Matthew Bowler for Eclipse SimSport on row number 13. Row 14 is where you're going to find the entries, including Dylan Pereira and Marcelo Rivera for Synergy Sim Racing and Evolution Racing Team, the ERT, big year-on-year change there. Marcella, the only one flying the flag for ERT on the grid at this stage in 2026. And on that note, we want to send our best wishes to Ethan Grigg Galt, of course, the three-time Hyundai XL national champion, who's a bit bent and broken at the moment, but he'll bounce back in a big way when he's fit and ready to do so. Bo Albert for the Chiefs Esports Club, good to see him back on the grid, and the old experienced hand of B. Hobson round out the top 30. Sandman.
Again, Superflow Chevrolet, love it. Absolutely love it. Andrew Youssef in P31, Jake Maloney a little bit further back than he'd like, back in P32. In 33rd, Kirk Stenberg. He's got a way to come back for that one, but we're looking forward to watching his race cam as he battles through the field. And Angus Lawford, he'll be starting alongside of him in P34. Brad Newman, a little bit further back than obviously he'd like to, P35, and in P36, Dennis Gaderick. Josh Horton, he'll start out at P37, and Ryan Jones in P38. What I love about the new season is these paint jobs, new paint schemes that we have to get used to. I absolutely love it. Wayne Walker in P39 and Ryan Bettis in P40.
And rounding out this grid, ladies and gentlemen, row 21 is where you're going to find Jordan Mazzaroli for Project 36. If you like your Roman numerals like I do, you'll appreciate the attention to detail there. And Brian Borg, of course, from position number 42, one of the substitutes coming off the bench for tonight. Row 22, another sub in Will Sapstead, James Chastanov, who got through via the qualifying series. And rounding out this magnificent 45-car grid, I can't believe I'm going to say this, Madison Down, rear of grid. There was a race control alert popping up top of screen there a few moments ago. I apologise, I missed that. There's a lot going on in central commentary at the moment. Our Discord chat thread is pinging off its head. Our Messenger chat thread is doing the same. And the incident during qualifying, no further action. Interesting call from race control there. Probably one that's just been put in the too hard basket on the opening night of school for 2026. Cars are going to line up on the grid for you very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking forward to this 38 laps ahead of us. But before that, the Logitech G Pro grid walk. And, well, I think it's only right that we start with the defending champion, the defending Sebring winner. And I'll have a chat to one of the rookies in the field, of course, having been in via the Enduros as a co-driver last year, Ryan O'Sullivan, in just a few moments. But Sam Mann, as the voice of the series, you can do the honours with the defending champion, Jared Filsell.
Jared, mate, more things change, the more things stay the same, mate. P number one, congratulations, buddy. Good start for 2026.
Yeah, thank you. Good place to start this race. I started a little bit further back here last year. We were a bit lost, but we seem to have found our way to the front this year, which is cool. Yeah, looking forward to tonight. Bit of an unknown with some new drivers and whatnot, but yeah, definitely keen to get it going.
You brought a couple of teammates with you to boot too. Not a bad showing there for Lobs. P123.
Yeah, pretty cool, hey? Well-oiled machine giving each other tow. Yeah. It's unfortunate for Brad. I think he had a little bit of a balk on his lap, but I'm sure he'll get up to pace in this car as the season progresses. And nice to see Thomas in the top 10 there. I think he got caught up a little bit as well, so he could have potentially been a little bit further up the grid, which was pretty cool for a golden ticket winner.
And one thing that we noticed when we look at your gorgeous Chevrolet, mate, you've decided to ditch number one this year. You're going to go back with Old Faithful, number 94.
Yeah. Anyone that's run number one in this series has not had a good year. So, yeah, that's my... I think it's a hoodoo, to be honest. I don't like it.
Mate, at the end of the day, come the end of 2026, and if you go back to back, you can say, I told you so. So it's only a number, but I know there's a couple of drivers that absolutely feel like that. So look, at the end of the day, this season's got off to a cracker, and I suppose we pretty much expect much the same from the Lobs throughout 2026, I would imagine.
Yeah, we're going to keep pressing on, doing our best preparation with Brody in the background. He helped a lot this week. Yeah, we're just going to... We'll take every week as it comes. So obviously, we've got a lot of setup history. So, yeah, we should be fine.
Mate, congratulations. All the best. Best starting spot on the grid, P1. Hopefully, we're having a chat to you a little bit later, mate. But all the best. We'll let you focus and knuckle down for the race start.
No worries. Thanks. Have a good call.
Thanks, buddy. Zach, you've gone down a little bit further down to the grid, P7 for Ryan O'Sullivan, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Once I knew that Sully was making his way into the broadcast booth to have a chat with us, I immediately said, I'll take him, thanks very much, because I'm so used to having a chat to this bloke in real-world motorsport in a Hyundai Excel. But it's great to see you out there in a supercar, mate. Great to see you in the big time, not just as a co-driver, but you're a main gamer for 2026. And also, completely different environment for you, one of the many team changes year on year. How are you finding everything in the Eclipse Sim Sport stable, buddy? Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Yeah, you too, mate. Yeah, obviously we go a bit back with the XL days and stuff like that. So, yeah, pretty cool that you're calling this race. So, yeah, look, obviously stoked with the qualifying. If you said to me I was going to be in the top 10, I'd be stoked for my first round in Pro Series. So that's a good thing. So, yeah, just going into the race, yeah, just do the best we can and manage the tyres. It's pretty hot out there. So, yeah, see what we can do.
Hard to get a clean run in qualifying, mate, but you've got such great support behind you there at the Eclipse stable. How are you finding everything there, of course, having switched over from ERT in the off-season?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, big change for me. Was kind of easy going with going into Eclipse that we've brought on, obviously, a couple other guys as well that were in ERT. So, honestly, smooth sailing. Just, yeah, the main thing is working together as a team, and it's working pretty well at the moment. So, yeah.
Where are the goalposts? Last one, because we're about to grid up and go, mate. Where are the goalposts for tonight?
Honestly, top 10 would be great. So, yeah, let's see what we can do.
All right, mate. Go out there, have a lot of fun, and hopefully we're chatting to you at the end. There he is, Ryan O'Sullivan. My goodness, Sam, man, have you got a tip?
Mate, it's hard to go past those lobs, guys. Jared, it doesn't look like it. He's slowed down one bit. So I'm going to sit right on the fence and say Jared Filso. I think it's a pretty easy guess.
Have a look at that grid, backed up around the final corner, ladies and gentlemen, Sunset Boulevard. It's Sebring International Raceway in Florida. It's round 1 of 12. It's race 1 of 15. 3,750 odd kilometres of racing separate us and the checkered flag in Adelaide when the 2026 champion will be crowned. Will Phil Sell go back to back, or is somebody else going to step up to the plate and make themselves a history-making championship winner in the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series? Let's find out. Let's have some fun, ladies and gentlemen. We're underway, the new season, the Logitech G Pro Invitational. Beautiful start up on the inside, Zach Ratway White. Andrew Gilliam gets the whole shot, however, on Jared Philsell as we make it through the first quarter, and so far so good. 2 and 3 wide, a little bit further back, but we're cleanly away in Florida, the preeminent supercar series in Australia's virtual racing world.
Yeah, 45 cars imagining their way through the first couple of turns here at Sebring. They've done a great job so far. Hopefully just haven't put the commentator's curse on them, but they're all just trying to find their feet at the moment. Great start from Gilliam off the start line. I don't know if Philsell just bogged it down a tiny bit, but nothing's much changed between those lobs guys. They're starting to run away from the field, and that's what they want. They want to get a little bit of a gap and race their own race.
Clean start right through the opening half a lap. Lap 1, 38 the journey. Whoa! Here we go. It didn't last too long.
It didn't. He just tried to close the door a little bit. So that's Burton. He's going to go all the way to the back of the field. Lucky not to get collected.
Warboys was the other one compromised by all of that. They plummet down the order to the rear of the field. Damon Woods well in the middle pack. Big one in the middle of the circuit. In the wall.
Cars into the wall off the left-hand side of the racetrack. Looks like they might all get away. I don't know if it's going to bring a safety car. They are, but man, I did put the commentator's curse on it. Action already at Sebring, lap 1.
Dan Blacklock, a regular champion in the GSRC parlons in supercar racing, in the wars early, right down the back of the field. Angus Lawford also involved. So too Matty Bowler and Wayne Walker and Josh Horton and Jake Burton and Jordan Mazzaroli. Blake Warboys and Dennis Gaderick. Madison down, by the way. Clean set of heels opening lap up 13 spots, just quietly.
Yeah, he's just picking his way through all the drama. So it looked like that incident with Burton. He was just trying to cover off that move, maybe to the dart to the inside. And it looks like there might have been just that little bit of an overlap. And unfortunately, he went round. Lucky not to get collected by the rest of the field. There probably could have been a little bit of give and take between a few drivers there. But thankfully, they all lived to fight another day.
Stud Speed, Synergy Sim Racing in the orbit, drop bear entry side by side. There were 3 incidents, we're being told. 3 separate incidents. Here they are on the OG Gear replay, ladies and gentlemen. Sandman, talk us through it.
Yep, so Burton's just there. There wasn't overlap. Yeah. He actually got drilled from behind. Yeah. So, yeah, that's absolutely nothing to do with that. He just got drilled, and this is the concertina effect. Just around the corner a little bit further, and then everyone else is checking up, trying to miss the drama. And, of course, there was some other hard hits a little bit further back as well. So we'll check that replay. But, yeah, unfortunately, I thought, and so I apologise straight up, I thought Jake was maybe covering and there might have been a little bit of overlap, but he just got absolutely drilled.
Yeah. This is Sam Blacklock's involvement in that incident, ladies and gentlemen. Was he caught up as an innocent bystander? You'd argue yes. Have a look at that. 3 wide down the inside and nowhere to go, and he just got turned and sent on his way.
Well, he still got pointing the right way, which is good. But then, there's more drama there. And it all started, he just tried to check up. He probably saw all the drama, tried to check up, and unfortunately got taken out as an innocent bystander. So that sucks when you're just trying to back up a little bit and stay out of an incident and you get run over a little bit. But never mind. Not too much damage to those cars, which is on the plus side.
Dan Blacklock will be henceforth known as the pinata of the field after all of that. Everybody had a piece of him there in the opening stages, unfortunately. Recovery mission underway for him at the moment, but the invoice is 25 seconds on the leader, Andrew Gilliam, at this stage. And what that's done, Sam, man, is sorted out all the side-by-side action that we saw on the opening lap. We're now a one-lane freight train, line astern, and there's a big gap between the first across the line, which is Andrew Gilliam in the Lobs Esports entry, and of course those guys that have all been caught up at the back of the field. There's several of them that are about 15 to 25 seconds down the road.
Yeah, and that timing screen on the left-hand side, that tower, will just give you an indication of how much field spread there is, and that's got nothing to do with how close the racing is. Unfortunately, there was all that drama and people were just checking up to try and miss those incidents. So that field spread's there. That'll help these drivers just maybe get themselves into a bit of a rhythm, because obviously it's 38 laps around here. We've got 2 pit stops still to play out. There's probably a chance we're going to see a safety car. So now everyone can just breathe. 2026 has started. Let's get ourselves in a rhythm and let's see what we got.
Lap 3 of 38, and there's already been about 8 laps worth of action unfold here in Florida. Gilliam, Philsell, Rosella Ratway White, and James Scott fastest lap of the race that time through. Brady Myers, the former winner here in 6th. Ryan O'Sullivan, then Bradley Ratu, Robbie Gibbs, and Thomas McMillan make up the top 10. Good start from McMillan, it's fair to say. Josh Anderson, Emily Jones, and Wayne Burke. Rick Kuznetsov, Hayden Veld make up the top 15. Forgive us, folks. Work with us here. We're going to have to acquaint ourselves with the new teams and drivers and paint schemes and all that tonight, which is why Scott Rankin's keeping a watchful eye on this from the sick bay, ready to take over the helm in 6 weeks' time. And he's welcome to it, by the way. I'll be here wrapping my head around 45 Porsche entries in a couple of weeks' time. Back straight second time, and already some scrapping going on further back. And we ride on board now with Damon Woods for Door Esports. Big recruitment for, big moment for Damon, I should say, to be recruited by those guys in the off-season. Jay was only saying to me before we got underway here, Sam, man, that they're one of the heavyweight sim racing teams in the world.
Yeah, and how good, for the moment, look at who he's following. So Madison's managed to get himself up to P30 for the moment. I tell you what, seeing him carve through the field, it makes me want to be in the race seat. Not that I've got anywhere near the talent of some of these guys, not even in my little left pinky, but it's just so good. Obviously he's starting from behind. The chips are down and he's just pegging forward now, P30, and there's still a long way to go on this one.
We're on lap 4. Here's Brenton Hobson down at Sunset Boulevard. And this doesn't look good enough. Too wide. He's bowled it way too wide there. Got on the other side of the white line. Recovered nicely, but has dropped a couple of spots as a consequence. of just bowling it too wide into Sunset Boulevard. Look at how tight it is up front. Andrew Gilliam. But look at the Stonewall defence there. He's got Phil Sell and Rosella protecting him. There goes Thomas McMillan off the road, dropping down a couple of spots. Fourth of the Lobs Esports stable entries for the moment. Zach Ratway White and James Scott keeping those Lobs Esports entries honest at the top of the field. Brady Myers, Ryan O'Sullivan remaining exactly where he started at the moment, so he's done really well to stay out of trouble to this point. This was McMillan too. Yeah, actually did well. Sacrificed himself to not cause an incident there, Sam, man.
Mate, and heads up driving for everyone that was around him too. Obviously, he went a little bit deep, but that crash avoidance was brilliant. So well done, Thomas McMillan. That was a really good credit to you and everyone around you that that didn't turn into something much nastier. So he lives to fight another day. But you're right, that front three, they've got their work cut out for them because it's a little bit of a train up front, and they'll obviously be managing their own race and just taking it easy at the moment. But it's a little bit heart and mouth when you see all these cars a little bit nose to tail like we see. But the top four have just opened up that little bit of a margin over James Scott. It was a lot closer before, so I wonder if something happened there. But definitely the top four having a good battle at this stage.
Well, you could say it's a battle, but I don't think there's going to be too much squabbling between the teammates in the early stages here. They might save it for the back end when the points are well and truly on the line. And that's the point too, Sam, man. 200 vitally important championship points up for grabs here. And the most important thing that you could possibly do tonight is avoid a retirement and a big chunk of zero.
Absolutely, because that just makes your year just that little bit harder. You know, you always want to start off on the best foot possible. And, you know, if you get caught with your pants down around your ankles for round number one, unfortunately, it's going to make the season a lot trickier than you would initially like. So even if it means not, missing out on a top three and you just settle for fourth or fifth, that will benefit you in the long run than making a silly move and maybe having a DNF.
I know Sullivan spoke quite vocally about how hot those tyres are getting out there on this surface. It was 42 degrees in qualifying. No reason to believe that it's actually dropped in any way, shape or form. Watch this for a little bit of slick driving here, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Oh, three wide. Can we make it work? Yes, we can. Why not? That is magnificent stuff from all concerned. Good spatial awareness from those drivers.
Yeah, that was good. A little bit of elbows out, but like you said, really good that everyone's just giving each other just that little bit of room because, it's never ideal when you've got your left sides on the grass and you're still trying to get the pass done, but they all got away with it.
So we've picked up Will Buchanan there in 22nd position, having a good run off the bench tonight in the IITX Revolution E-Racing entry. Great to see him out there flying the flag. And that's the point as well, Sam, man. We talk about some of the big heavyweight teams. So there's plenty of Trans-Tasman, there's plenty of Lobs, there's plenty of Vermilions, Eclipse, Orbit Drop Bear even have multiple entries on the grid with thanks to Logitech, of course. But there are quite a few out there. Ryan Jones, GPR Racing, and this guy here, Will Buchanan, IATX Revolution E-Racing. Just two examples of drivers that are going it alone. They don't have any teammates to rely upon or lean upon tonight.
Yeah, that's right. So, sometimes you feel you might be a little bit, I guess, on the back foot. But at the end of the day, they're obviously got a good package. They've got a decent car underneath them because just being in the series is credited enough to the driving ability that they've got anyway. But, it does feel a little bit daunting sometimes when you come across these teams that maybe have 4 or 5 cars or whatever it is in the mix and you might be just a 2-car team.
Blake Warboys in 31st position. We're right on board with him now. And if you're just joining us, what are we, about 8:45 on the East Coast, 5:45 on the West Coast. Great to have you along for some Wednesday night motorsport live, exclusive and free. Blake Warboys there, on board with him at the moment. And just how heavily congested the road ahead is evident from that onboard shot, Sam, man. Even though the field has spread out, traffic as far as the eye can see.
Yeah, and the scary bit is too, from Blake's position, we're obviously fortunate enough to be hamburger camp at the moment, but when you're in his position, all you can see is that Chevrolet in front of him and your vision's quite limited. So this is a good indication of what he sees. And basically when you're tucked right up underneath the car in front, you know, you're basically trying to eye around these corners just to see what's happening in front of you. And that's normally the concertina effect that we have in these accidents at the start. When the field's bunched up, it's normally the driver visibility that people don't see that incident happen in front of them. So you've got to have your wits about you. And thankfully, he's got enough vision that he can see what's happening in front of him.
42nd position for Sam Blacklock. A start that he'll want to forget, let's be perfectly honest. Did everything right in the early initial stages to stay clean and stay out of trouble. And then, unfortunately, the tightness, the lack of width in that bitumen through the infield section of the circuit got the better of him. You had 5 cars try to go into a space only wide enough for 3, and he ended up being the sacrificial lamb in all of that. We're right on board with him now, and we go back to Angus Lawford in 45th position. He's chasing Josh Horton. Some big names down the back of the field here. Josh Horton actually just ceding position there. Angus Lawford going through to 44, but it's a slowdown for Horton, we're understanding.
Yeah. Smart. He just rolled out of it. You know, don't put too much of a fight. You're better off just to give that time up. And good to see the cameras too. I love that these teams and drivers have their cameras for us for the broadcast. Good to see him in action. So good to see Angus as well behind the wheel. And of course, Australia's favourite sim racer, Kirk Stenberg, up on the wheel. Never disappoints us the way he battles it. Look at him trying to get the car turned in 25th position. So he's made up a few spots from his... He didn't have the best qualifying run, but P25 for the moment for Stenny. And looking okay so far, lap 7.
I mean, we were talking earlier about our former winner here, Robbie Gibbs, and the lack of comfort he's contending with at the moment. That doesn't look, for a lot of people watching on from home, obviously it's comfortable for Stenny and that's the way he operates, but there's a lot of people that'll be looking at that and thinking, how the hell could you be possibly comfortable at this particular point in time? Sometimes it's not about comfort, Sam, man, let's be perfectly honest. There's nothing comfortable about the cutthroat nature of this series. You've got to be on your game every step of the way here through 12 rounds that take us through to the early part of December. I want to come back to that point a little bit later on. I didn't get to finish that in qualifying because all hell broke loose with Madison Down, of course. Let's go back to Hayden Veld fighting with his Eclipse Sim Sport machine at the moment. He's in 14th. His next target is Wayne Burke as they come on to the back straight. Good to have your company. Lap 7 of 38. Remember, the critical number we're looking for tonight is 19. The longer we go without a safety car, the more strategy is going to come into it, ladies and gentlemen, because there'll be some leverage there with regards to these guys and when they can come in for their earliest stop and, of course, stop and get home. So it'll be interesting to see who zigs and zags.
Yeah, that's right. And when you see, like we were talking about, the front runners, the top 3 up there, nose to tail, Madison Down now, trying to make his way. He's up now P27 now. So just slowly picking off one at a time. Like I was saying, the top 3, they're just looking after themselves, maybe saving a little bit of fuel. But at the end of the day, it is going to be strategy that will play out. It's going to be interesting if we don't see that safety car, exactly what you said. So and that's what I love about it. 2 compulsory pit stops, really mixing things up a little bit when you don't have things go your way like safety cars.
Lap 8, infield section. Good to have you along. Madison Down, that was interesting because all the heavy lifting had to be done in the early stages when the field was backed up and tightly bunched, Sam, man. The task is becoming ever increasingly difficult with each passing lap here. I mean, really, realistically, if you're Madison Down at the moment, where are the goalposts, knowing that you've only been able to tick off 1 car per lap since the end of the first lap when you did all the heavy lifting? Yeah,
look, it's such a strong field. You'd think if he could get a top 10, that would be incredible. You know, coming back from 45th position on the grid, I think he'd be quite stoked with that. So many things can play out, but like you said, if it goes green and the race strings out and the cars spread out, we always get that little bit of field spread. That obviously is going to make things a little bit difficult for him. And to take nothing away from anyone in this field, we know the cream always rises to the top. So Madison Down, he's normally towards the front. So if he finds himself a little bit further in the field, he probably can find a way maybe in certain places to tick off some of those drivers quite easily. But it's going to come that little bit more difficult the higher he climbs the tree, so to speak. So he's going to have his work cut out for him, but I'd be thinking top 10.
This has just become very interesting, Sam, man. We pick up the battle for 4th. Look at the margin. Look at the distance that the Lobs Esports entries have put between themselves and Zach Ratway-White, who's battling with James Scott at the moment for fourth on the racetrack. Rhino Sullivan's pipped off Brady Myers and moved himself up into sixth. That's important to note. Myers back to seventh. Gibbs is eighth. Anderson ninth. Radu 10th at the moment. Good start from Bradley Radu, returning to the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. Having missed out, of course, through the qualifying series, got a committee's choice invitation for the golden ticket in via that route, so he would have been sweating for a little bit there, waiting for a co-drive, quite frankly. Here we go. Rosella is third. Ratway White's under trouble from Scott. Scott around the outside, if you don't mind. James Scott, and the Chiefs Esports Club entry goes to fourth. Next target, the Lobs Esports stable, but the problem they've got, Sam, man, is the distance. It's 3.3 seconds already that they've put on the battle for fourth. That is an extraordinary turn of events, the way in which the first three, the teammates, have just wound the wick up.
Yeah, they have. And I just wonder if it probably looked like that Zach was probably struggling a little bit with his car, and that's why he gave it up so easy for James Scott. He could see that he was really starting to hound him a little bit. So good heads-up racing as far as just roll out of it a little bit. But, yeah, you're right. He's got his work cut out for him. If he's got to close down a 3-second margin, James got to the top three. But, look, everyone's in different modes. Like you said, some people will be taking it easy. They might have decided to push a little bit. They know that they're thinking about pit stops soon. So, like you said, critical lap is lap 19. So there's still another 10 laps away to go as far as pit stops. But they might be thinking about using up a little bit of the tyre that they've got in the bank possibly to gap the field.
Hayden Veld, Wayne Burke, Rick Kuznetsov on screen there at the moment. Down the back straight. Have a look at the logjam behind them, though. I mean, you've got Tom Freer and Bo Albert and Jacob O'Reilly and Adam Briggs and Jake Maloney all in shot at this point in time. It's very much a case, if you trip up, it is going to be a costly time loss and track position loss for you as well, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the main straight we go. Keeping it relatively clean so far through the first quarter of the race. 75% race distance is important to note with regards to classification and points allocation and other things as well, ladies and gentlemen. Got to get to lap 29 to be classified in this opening round of the Championship Series for 2026. Don't forget, next round of the series isn't until the very back end of April, but we'll have 2 Porsche Pro Invitational rounds to bring you between then and now. And of course, we've got some other good stuff coming your way on the ASRG and SimSpeed platforms, which we'll talk about as this broadcast unfolds. We're dangling the carrot at the moment. I hope that you stay tuned. Interesting tactic here. The two Synergy Sim Racing teammates, Dennis Gaderick and Brenton Hobson, find themselves on pit road at the moment. And Kurt Stenberg's under assault from Damon Woods.
Yeah, a little bit of door handle to door handle rubbing there. So they managed to get away with it. Still good hard racing between them, but it's always hold your breath stuff when you see two cars. Oh, they're doing it again. So they haven't given each other an inch there, but it's almost double file back here as well. So 2 by 2 for these guys. All into the braking zone.
Woods around the outside, if you don't mind. Can he hold it? Yes, why not? Damon Woods, that's brilliant driving. The Lobs Esport entry in behind that alongside Blake Warboys. How good this is in the early stages, ladies and gentlemen. The elbows are out. Warboys holds on for the moment. And I think that's the ERT entry in behind them as well. Fascinating battle in the middle order of this field at this point in time. Just touching on the Synergy Sim Racing entry, Sam, man. Dennis Gaderick went a longer stop, 19.45 seconds in the box. Brenton Hobson went the short fuel, 15.95. So expect Hobbo in earlier than Gaderick in the second time through.
Yeah, rolling the dice on lap 10. That's what we like to see. It's good when I see people do that because you don't want everyone doing the exact same thing.
No.
They train a little bit of strategy. You don't know a safety car might come out and work in their favour a little bit later. So these guys will be hoping to use up that tyre a little bit, that little bit of a grip advantage. Obviously, everyone else is on sort of 10, 11-lap-old tyres. But you don't want to burn them up too because they've still got a long way to go. So another pit stop for those guys, but they've got number 1 out of the way, and there's another car in the lane I could see too.
Dylan Pereira makes his way into pit lane at this particular point in time. Ryan Jones, Marcelo Rivera, and Wayne Walker and Matthew Bowler. Also, Matthew Bowler picks up the first black flag of the season on pit road. So that's a costly invoice coming his way. And all of a sudden, all of this starts to look better and better and better for the bloke that started last in Madison down, because that's just another car that he's not going to have to worry about for the balance of the night.
That's right. Yeah, so it looks like he got a speeding in pit lane entry, unfortunately. So serve that black flag, but hey, get over and done with. And then, we're just hearing. So the black flag was contact with Sam Blacklock on lap 1. So I apologise about that. We thought it might have been for speeding in pit lane.
We've had other information. Yeah, that's all good. We've been corrected now, so that's all good. Let's press on here. Ryan Bettis, we'll get back to him a little bit later on. He's got William Sapstead there at the moment as well. Sapstead 31st, Bettis 30th, Andre Youssef, James Chastanov there, all on screen at the moment. Sapstead, of course, one of the reserves being drafted into the field for tonight's race. That's one of the great things about this series as well. In order to ensure that watch Chastanov here too, by the way, folks, on the OG Gear replay. Oh, that's spicy and tight. That they got away with it somehow. That's one of the great things about this series, Sam, man. So revered is it, so hotly contested is it, that on any given day, if someone falls over crook or has work commitments or something else come up untoward, we can pick up the phone and say, how would you like to come and be one of the reserve substitute drivers for the night? And everybody, all too willingly, very quickly, can't say yes quick enough.
Yeah, and look, it's brilliant too, because look, at the end of the day, unfortunately, they're not all $1 million paid race car drivers, and they work, and real life commitments get in the way sometimes, and unfortunately, these things happen. But it's great that we've got people that step up and fill the field, and to have 45 cars on the grid, it's just brilliant. And like I said, it's a testament to our series that everyone is keen to get behind the wheel.
And just to clarify and finish off Sandman's point, we're not $1 million paid commentators either. 38 laps gone, 229 kilometres rounded up, of course. 228.72, the exact number there on your screen. Tank size 70%, so it'll be interesting to see how many of these guys go all the way to lap 19. There might even be something to be said for the guys that want to go 13, 12, 13, 13, 13, 12. Split it down the middle. Obviously, all that changes if a safety car pops it up on lap 19, say everyone dives into the lane. But there'll be different variable ways to go about this, Sam, man, based purely on trying to get the best out of your tyres more than anything else. It's not necessarily the fuel tank you've got to be worried about. It's the tyre wear.
That's right. And so many things come into consideration as far as your track position on the track, whether you've been caught up in drama, whether you got yourself some clear air, all those sort of factors come into it too. So, and like you said, it's not just the fuel. It's, if you've been hard on the tyres, if you haven't quite got the setup right and you're abusing your tyres, you've got these chances to maybe try a different strategy, and hopefully it all plays out for them on the night. But that's what I love, the compulsory pit stops. It does shake things up a little bit.
Indeed. And as we've already seen, there are a few guys that have decided to go the polar opposite strategy of what a lot of the field will run tonight. Anything to buy a little bit of clear air around here on this, even though, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's 6.019 kilometres long, it's only slightly short of the Mount Panorama and Road America. It's hard to find a clear patch of real estate when there's 45 cars out there. And I guess well done to all concerned. We've got through the first 13 laps of the season, the first third of this race, and every single one of the 45 that started are still running. Nowhere near in the same order of which they started, but that's the beautiful thing about motor racing. It ebbs and flows, swings and roundabouts. Andrew Gilliam, Jared Filsell, Luke Rosella, Lobs Esports 1, 2, 3 at the moment. James Scott there in fourth. That margin between third and fourth now 2.5, and the margin between first and fourth 3.2. So that's steady. That's holding about where it was a few laps ago when we last checked in with that top field battle. Here's Robbie Gibbs and Rhino Sullivan now. So these two have had a good little scrap. Robbie Gibbs has actually jumped back up into sixth spot. Rhino Sullivan slots back into seventh. He was up in sixth a few moments ago last time we checked in with him. Had Brady Myers, Josh Anderson and Bradley Ratu make up the top 10. So a lot of the big teams find themselves represented in the top 10 at this point in time. There are already obviously some hard luck stories to pick apart. To Sam, man, a few guys will be leaving here tonight with the tail dangling, and they'll have 5-6 weeks to stew on it, and in order to try and turn things around and get their season back on track when we get to Belgium. Oh, sorry, right, Atlanta next stop, and then Belgium.
And looking at the guy on screen at the moment, Robbie Gibbs, we already touched on, the dramas that he had. He had surgery, and to see that he's still having a crack at lap 13, that's a huge testament to him and shows his commitment to the team. But also, he's in a good position. Like, he's on for a really good points night tonight. So if he can push through that pain barrier and hang in there, he's on for a good points night. And we spoke about it earlier that it's a long season and you want to make the most of these decent results. If you can't get first, second, third, sometimes it's always good to settle for a top 5. And him, for the moment, where he's sort of playing a little bit injured at the moment, for P6 at the moment, is incredible for Robbie. Huge shout out. You should be pretty proud of yourself, mate, because it's never fun when you come back from surgery, and he's doing a great job. We thought he was going to park after a couple of laps, so to see him at the moment at this stage is brilliant.
I think he did as well, quite frankly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have probably given us the heads up. Robbie Gibbs there in 6th. Rhino Sullivan 7th. Here comes Wayne Burke and Tom Free to pit lane.
Yep, so this is lap 14. Rolling the dice, obviously getting that first one over and done with. And this
Lap
is where we get these little
38.
fluctuations. Sorry, they were just about, you touched on it before, where you get these different times. Some people will decide to go light on fuel, some will go heavy and decide to stay a little bit longer. And that's what we like as far as people mixing it up. We saw Brenton before when he pitted earlier. So he decided to go for a shorter stop over someone else. So, and that's what we like to see. A little bit of a mix up, lap 14, and we look at our top 3 front runners. They've got themselves a nice little buffer at this stage. They look like they're doing it too easy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's almost as though they're just magically joined by tow rope or something like that. It's symmetry. It's poetry in motion, what they're doing at the moment. But we saw this when they dominated Bathurst a couple of years ago as well. They're just well-trained, well-oiled machines. They know each other so well. They feed off each other so well. And it's reflected in the show they put on and the results they bank year in, year out. And testament to Jared Filsell, of course, had the better run-of-the-mill, with the exception of a couple of hiccups in 2024. Sought redemption last year, got it in the best possible way, cleaned up just about everything that was on offer, and now comes back to try and maintain his mantle and maintain his place on the throne. But 44 hungry competitors around him. I didn't get to finish this point because the start crept up on me. 44 drivers out there looking to dethrone them, dethrone Lobs Esports and Jared Filsell specifically, and anoint themselves as the new king of this Logitech G Pro Invitational series, and really cement legend status within the Australian sim racing community. So well revered and respected is this championship series. Brady Myers and Josh Anderson, we picked them up on screen now, a former winner here at Sebring, of course. Brady Myers, Adam Briggs and Lachlan Capel to pit lane. I'm still recovering. The voice box hasn't yet recovered from Lachlan Capel's heroics at Hockenheim.
Again, the beauty of our series, hey? There's always something that gets your attention, and these guys don't shy away from giving some action.
Will Buchanan there in 19th. What a day it's been for him to get the call up this morning, say, how would you like to be a reserve driver? And here he is, mid-pack, positioned nicely, kept it clean, stayed out of trouble through the early stages. It's amazing, isn't it? Race Control have had barely any work to do ever since you read them the right act, Sam Manning qualifying.
Oh, well, I think lap 1 might have been a bit interesting for us. I don't know if they're sitting on some decisions there, but yeah, look, not too bad. Look, at the end of the day, like you said, you always take your hats off to our officials and everyone who's keeping an eye on things in the background, because it's not a job that anyone wants. And just as we say that, Race Control have just come through with the first one, so 5-second penalty for James Chastanoff.
11 laps after the fact, he'll be filthy with that, James Chastanoff. 5 seconds, not a hell of a lot in the grand scheme of things, but enough to cost you a position or two in a field this tightly stacked at the moment. He can serve that at the pit stop, I do believe. He's just got to give Race Control the heads up that that's actually going to happen, and he'll sit there stationary for 5 seconds. I mean, I guess that's probably the best thing that could happen, is that he comes in, serves the 5 seconds, and then gets a safety car and gets to gain the lost ground back. But so far, no sign of the Logitech G Pro safety car, which is a good thing. Very unlike Sebring, but we'll take it. Have a look at this. Oh, but drop their motorsport. Now they're banging doors. Down the back straight we go. Have a look at this. Bradley Ratu in the thick of it.
Thought that was going to be the ultimate commentator's curse right there and see a safety car if they shunted, but they got away with it. A little bit of bang in there.
No, it's not. It's Sam Blacklock. My apologies. It's the other orbit drop their entry. Sorry, Sam.
No, that's all right. They got away with it. So a little bit of a tussle there, but Sam now fighting to live another day. But I thought that was going to be the ultimate commentator's curse right there.
And it's interesting too, isn't it, mate? Because as we have a look, Ryan O'Sullivan, Josh Anderson, Emily Jones, Rick Kuznetsov all on pit road. So critical lap for those guys has come at the start of lap 16, the end of lap 15. Blacklock, no doubt, only +1 tonight, but he's passed 21 cars because he got shuffled back to the rear of the field on the opening lap and has been driving with the red mist having already descended since then. And it's been a solid drive, fight back through the field. Very different circumstances, I should say, to Madison Down, but an impressive drive all the same in an effort to salvage something out of the night. Blake Warboys punches out the fastest lap of the race that time through as well. I think we just saw at the top of the screen there, ladies and gentlemen, which is interesting because it just goes to highlight the point that Gilliam, Philsell and Rosella, without setting the world on fire and selling Hollywood numbers, are still maintaining a very handsome advantage here.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, they know if they just hit their marks and don't do anything silly, they're obviously not putting any pressure on each other, so they're just lapping. They don't have to worry about anyone behind them at this stage, so they're literally running their own race, maybe saving a little bit of fuel along the way, but Gilliam knows that Philsell's not going to shove it up the inside. Philsell knows that Rosella's not going to do the same to him. They're just running to a number, so waiting for this race just to play out, so there's no pressure for those guys up front.
Gibbs into the lane, Myers into the lane. Pit lane becomes a hub of activity. Thomas McMillan comes in. So too Bo Albert. They're all making their way down pit lane, ladies and gentlemen. James Scott, Madison Down continues on. Have a look at this. Back up into the top 10 momentarily for the Trans-Tasman Racing entry. He's going to go, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen, to 5th with only Rosella, Ratway White, Philsell and Gilliam ahead of him at the moment, and Lachlan Cable follows him through. Cable hasn't yet stopped either. This is a magnificent recovery from Madison Down. I mean, obviously, it's all going to change very shortly because he's got to come in and stop twice himself. But for the moment, it'll be a nice little bit of satisfaction for him to be that far back up the order, given how the night started. He'll be able to smile. Here we go. James Scott, 10th place at the moment. Madison Down up 40. James Chastanov up 35. Andre Youssef up 24. Now, all that's obviously going to change with pit stops playing out, but that'll be a nice little moment of satisfaction for Madison Down that he's been able to have a clean run working through that much traffic. Frustrating all the same, Sam Man, but he can be very happy with the pace that he's shown and the drive he's put in.
Yeah, well, for the moment, obviously, we are joking. There is a little bit of mustard on it. We know that Madison's, after the pit stops change, he's probably going to drop down to about 24th or something like that. Possibly, I didn't quite see what it was when the pit stop started. So, but that's all he's needed to do, is just start to pick them off one by one, run his own race. He's still got plenty of ways to go. You know, still 2 pit stops to play out. And I think for the moment, he's got a straight race car, and that's all that matters, and he can just be eyes forward.
Indeed he can be. It is terrific to have your company wherever you're tuning in. Here's Thomas McMillan in 16th at the moment. Hayden Veldin behind him. And no love lost between these two. In fact, it was Gilliam comes through. Gilliam zigs and Rosella and Philsell zag. They go around again. Ratway White follows Gilliam in. Just going back to Veld and also, of course, McMillan there, Sam Man. It was relayed to us via Scott Rankin, but there's no real love lost between the Lob stable, between the Vermilion stable and the Eclipse stable. So it's always going to be nice and spicy and worth keeping an eye on when those teams are surrounding one another on the racetrack.
Well, that's good. You know, there needs to be a little biff and barge, and I know there's healthy respect between a lot of these teams. So, you know, look, at the end of the day, it's good that everyone's not just, I'll move over, sir, you can have the position. You know, everyone's going to have their elbows out and give it a little bit of a push and shove. That's what we like to see. So, but yes, now, I guess all eyes, you would imagine that Jared Filsell and Luke Rosella, they will be in probably the next lap bound, being that it's lap 18, almost lap 19.
Ollie Jones, fastest start of the race, if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen. And Andrew Gilliam has come back out onto the racetrack behind James Scott. Now, let's analyse that. James Scott, 19.149. Andrew Gilliam, 22.917. So that probably makes sense. But why has Gilliam stopped that long on the jacks? We're almost at the critical number here. There's probably no real reason for him to take on that much fuel in that stop. But I guess the return, Sam, man, is that he won't have to sit on the jacks as long next time through, unless, of course, he wants to grab a fresh set of Dunlops. That might be the only Achilles heel there. But it's interesting to note the varying strategies at the moment. A lot of variance in the amount of time sat stationary in the box to grab some juice. So there's going to be, again, such great discrepancy between the first and last of the pit stops in the second transit of the lane coming up very shortly. And we say that we've just hit the end of lap 18 and we haven't yet cleansed the field the first time through. But that all changes now as Filsell, Rosella and probably Madison Down and Lockie Capel will head towards pit lane. Now, Capel's fallen well behind down there that time through, about 2.5, 3 seconds, in fact. So massive in-lap for Madison Down as he makes his way down pit lane for the first time.
It'll filter through now. I don't think Gilliam's too concerned at this stage, even though that he may have dropped that spot, because he's obviously quite comfortable with the car. We know those Lobs cars are very good. So he's probably going to get right to the tail end or right to the back of James Scott again, maybe put pressure on him and get the job done before they even hit pit lane. So I don't think there's too much concern at the moment for the Lobs guys.
So James Scott in 5th spot at the moment across the line. Capel, Blacklock continue to control the field, but they haven't yet stopped the two Logitech Orbit Drop Air Motorsport entries. I've got to get used to that. Great to see them have a naming rights sponsor, but it's our naming rights sponsor as well. So Logitech getting more bang for their buck than ever before in 2026 with the Logitech G Pro Invitational here across the SimSpeed and ASRG networks, and also streaming, of course, via Speed Cafe. We wouldn't be able to do it without the help of course, Speed Cafe, Logitech, OG Gear, our hard charger award, and our replays, all courtesy of OG Gear, and of course the organising sanctioning body, the Australian Sim Racing Group. Bigger and better things coming the way of the Australian Sim Racing Group platforms this season. That Porsche Pro Invitational is going to be fantastic. And if you're a fan of dirt racing, there's your next hint. More on that. What else is going to fill the gap? Wednesday night is ASRG night on the SimSpeed Esports Network this season. So if you like dirt, Porsches or supercars, we've got you covered.
That's it. Leave the dial locked straight onto SimSpeed TV because, we've definitely got some great racing throughout this season and really excited. And if I'm not in the commentary box, there's a fair good chance I'm going to be on the couch because there's going to be some brilliant racing.
I'd say the same thing, but usually when I'm not here, I'm tied up with Wednesday Night Motorsport on the GSRC platform. So I'm just stuck in the office, the booth changes week in, week out. Here's Lockie Capel now. Sam Blacklock follows him around. Big gap between those two, 13.1 seconds by virtue of the fact that Capel's had a relatively clean first run through, and Blacklock has not. James Scott third, the best of those two have stopped so far. But as we've already highlighted, there's going to be some variance in the second round of pit stops based on the time that everyone's sat stationary the first time through. So let's keep our eyes peeled on that. Good to see those guys essentially run the tank empty, Sam, man. And now the critical number is upon us. So technically, if we were to see safety car boards and flags at this point in time, there's no excuse for not pitting.
No, absolutely, especially where we're at this point of the race. But have a look at this. James Scott leads over Andrew Gilliam. Robbie Gidd's in a genuine third place at the moment. Obviously, a little bit of discrepancy there with pit stops and how much fuel and everyone else takes. But well done to Robbie. These guys are really putting it in the mix at the moment with the Lobs guys, but still a long way to play out. And like you said, another pit stop. So really interesting. These guys are actually taking it to the Lobs guys at the moment. Good to see.
Absolutely. They've been the dominant force for a while, but
I say that
everyone wants to be where they are. So there are a lot of teams that have spent the off-season just trying to find those incremental little gains, make those inroads to try and match these guys on track, on pace, on speed, on merit in 2026. Not an easy task. But this brings me back to the point I didn't get the finish making in qualifying because all hell broke loose with Madison down, mate. We say it's only a 12-round calendar. I guess it is. Here's Ryan. Just as I go to make the point, here's Ryan McMillan on. Thomas McMillan on replay. We have got a Ryan McMillan in racing circles. My apologies. That's Thomas McMillan getting into the side of the TTR entry and wedging in between the Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport entry, of course, the Logitech Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport entry in the process. And those guys are fighting over, that was Emily Jones, 9th position on the racetrack. Again, he has another look as Ryan McMillan. Thomas McMillan. I'm going to muck that up a few times now, aren't I? Because I've set myself up a bad trap to fall into. Thomas McMillan in 10th. Bradley Ratu, that is, in 11th. It's worth noting there. We say it's only 12 rounds and, you've got to draw the line somewhere, Sam, but we're in a unique situation in the sim racing world in the sense that many leagues, even the iRacing official schedule that works around us, they're all, 4 seasons a year, 40 weeks plus a year. Even the sim racing world at iRacing headquarters, they have 4 13-week seasons. They just don't stop. It's year round.
Yeah, that's right. But, I don't know. For me, there's always something about a year-long championship. For me personally, I've done those short championship races, but I've done the year-long championship ones as well, and I like that format.
Top of screen, Madison down, fastest lap of the race, ladies and gentlemen, and on the comeback trail, there he is back up into 17th position, if you don't mind. He's firmly on for a top 20 here, which is a remarkable turnaround from how the night started, and considering that he was at the very tail of this field, parked up around the back of turn 17 when the green flag flew for the first time in 2026. Remarkable stuff. But that is why he's one of the best in the business and a Hall of Famer. And there's a would-be photographer on the side of the road grabbing a happy snap as we go here. So good to see iRacing incorporating all facets of real-world motorsport into the server with the additional media vest and photographer and equipment there on the side of the road. One of the great little additional features in 2026. 18 laps to go here. We're past the critical lap. Lap 21 of 38. James Scott leads the way to the second round of pit stops.
You asked me earlier, Zach, about how Madison might go tonight. I said he'd probably be really stoked with the top 10, and then I started to doubt myself. I was like, oh, is he maybe on for a top 10? I don't know. That might have been a bit of a stretch, but the way he's going at the moment, there is, 3 or 4 cars that are just in front of him. So if he can get, there's 4 cars, there you go. If he can get those behind him, he's really close to knocking on a top 10. And it's a extraordinary effort from him, and we shouldn't be too surprised. You only look at his resume and the amount of racing and the amount of wins that he's had. We shouldn't be too surprised, but hell of an effort for the moment, P17.
I just realised why the other McMillan was on the brain right then, Sam, man. Of course, you may have seen the headlines today. The new era, the new iteration of TCR Australia, aptly named TCR South Australia, not going ahead after all that fanfare made about running 5 rounds out of both the Bend and also Malala Motorsport Park in South Australia this year. Not going ahead. They pulled the pin on that. And Ryan McMillan, of course, teamed up with HMO Customer Racing for the trip to Macau and a couple of other things last year. So that's why I had both McMillans on the brain today. A lot of info to absorb today, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a big news day. Around the back of the circuit, Jacob O'Reilly, Madison down. Half a second between them at the moment. Vermilion versus Trans-Tasman. You're watching round 1 of the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series for 2026. Porsche Pro in a couple of weeks from the Hockenheim Ring. We're looking forward to that. And I'll have a new co-pilot for that. Scotty Rankin's going to actually be focusing on other ventures, by which I mean he's actually going to get out there and have a steer and have a crack. And looking forward to seeing how he goes. So I'll have a new, not so new voice, but certainly a new commentary colleague for me to work with here in a couple of weeks' time. I'm looking forward to that.
Be sure you give him a hard time, mate, because, I think he makes... he says all these blokes that are racing, mate, it's easy, I can do that. So he's going to have a crack now. So make sure you don't let him get off the hook too much.
Absolutely not. It's always more fun when your mates are out there on the racetrack. It's so much easier to throw them under the bus. Now, info from Jay Kennedy, and he's done some digging behind the scenes for us. Bradley Ratu has got an injured hand at the moment, so it's an impressive effort from him all the same to be in 11th at this point in time. It happened during the practice session. He had someone crash into him, and just the impact of that, he smashed his wheel and hurt his hand as a result of that. So no doubt there'll be a bucket of ice on standby for the end of this race for that hand to go into. He's under pressure here from Bo Albert as they make their way back onto the main straight. And great to see Bo Albert back out there in the mix. 16 to go in Florida. We're on lap 23. Still Lobs Esport leading the way, but not the pole sitter. It's his teammate Andrew Gilliam. There is a little bit of a discrepancy between James Scott and Jared Filsell in terms of the pit times. We are expecting shorter stops from Lobs Esport's second time through, but a longer stop for James Scott. Fascinating to see how this plays out from here. Orbit drop there, 11th. I can't believe we've got through 22 laps of Sebring Sandman without the safety car. And yes, I am deliberately trying to put the commentator's curse on that because it'll spice up the finish just a little bit more. And this was the lead change, by the way. This happened a few moments ago. This was James Scott, Andrew Gilliam, Jared Filsell going through. And a tandem job there. So Gilliam's gone through. Scott's tried to get him back, but then that's obviously left the door ajar potentially for Filsell to have a crack. Not yet. He has since gone through, and so too has Rosella. So this is the OG gear replay. We might stick with this because Scott has gone back to 4th place in all of this. So the floodgates open at turn 1. He's able to contain them through the first part of the lap. And then watch this. Jared Filsell down the inside and Luke, up the outside actually, and Luke Rosella says I'll have a piece of that as well. Filsell got him the outside, Rosella got him the inside. He didn't know which door to shut, and in the end he opened both, and it cost him 2 spots.
Look, at the end of the day, I think the Lobs guys are very comfortable with the car, and these guys know that they're obviously at their peak at the moment, so don't put up too much of a fight at the moment. Live to fight another day. They know there's still another round of pit stops to go, but for the moment, they're making it look easy. And when Gilliam was a little bit sort of behind the 8 ball after his pit stop, I probably felt myself that he wasn't too concerned because of how comfortable and quick that they know those cars are. So I don't think there's too much concerns out of that stable just yet.
Madison down on track for the OG Gear Hard Charger Award, just quietly, you'd have to say, given his efforts so far. It's not the award that he'd want tonight, but he'll take it. It's a consolation prize, but it's one he'll take for acknowledgement of a good drive, good solid hustle through the field here. Lobs Esport 1, 2, 3. James Scott, Robbie Gibbs, have a look at him. Injured and all, straight out of hospital yesterday, straight back into the rig tonight, and in the top 5. Here's Marcelo Rivera stopping for the second and final time. 2 compulsory pit stops here, folks. You just get the feeling there's a few people hanging out for that would-be aforementioned safety car. I don't think they're actually going to get their wish at this particular point in time. Sam, man, it's been a very clean race, give or take a couple of moments, but by usual standards and normal, angst and anticipation and nervous energy that you would associate with the opening round of the year, this has been a very, very calm and tame affair to this point.
Absolutely, and that first lap is just some TTR teammates just giving each other a little bit of space there, but that's what happens first lap for a lot of these races. So there's always a little bit of biff and barge. Everyone's sort of close net racing, and we have little incidents. But you're right, we haven't seen any big carnage after that. So. And that's good. That's good for our series. And I don't think you're going to get too much argy-bargy from the top 3, being that they're all out of the same stable. And then, of course, 4th and 5th out of the same stable as well. So we might not have that last lap drama and contact and wall banging that you might see on different days. But nevertheless, you just don't know how the next 15 laps will play out.
Never had a back-to-back winner here at Sebring. So history awaits for Jared Filsell if he can find a way by his teammate Andrew Gilliam. But as Setman said, you just can't foresee them taking any unnecessary risks here. And again, if they can bank the maximum points 1st, 2nd and 3rd there, play on for the rest of the season, give themselves a tremendous leg up over the opposition, and it'll only be, 6 to 12 points to turnaround. That's nothing in the grand scheme of things. Filsell will be easily able to overturn that at some point as he goes out in pursuit of back-to-back titles. 14 to go here in Florida on the old airfield. Of course, this weekend, the Real World Sebring 12-hour. I know a lot of people preparing for the sim racing equivalent, which is coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and into pit lane. as we have a look at the long transit. That you sometimes forget how long the pit lane is here in Florida. Wayne Burke, Damon Woods, Brenton Hobson, all on pit road this time through. And that's the other thing. Some pit lanes are longer than others. You've got to account for that with regards to your strategy. Slowing down to 40, sometimes 60, sometimes 80, depending upon the pit lane and the regulations set in place by iRacing kilometres an hour. And with Sebring, you don't exit at turn 1, but you go around the outside of turn 1 and rejoin the circuit halfway to turn 2. So it's a very long transit down pit lane here in Florida, which is why a lot of those transit times do drag out quite substantially. Here are the Lobbs Esports stable, still under pressure from James Scott.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? When you've got these long pit lanes, as we see a little bit of drop. So this is Madison down now, picked off another one. So P15 now, he's only a smidgen away. If he gets 2 more spots, that's obviously P13 for him. And not too much further up the road, he could be possibly looking at a top 10. So don't rule out a top 10 finish for Madison Down. That's pretty remarkable from a 45 car field.
Absolutely, helped by the fact that Josh Horton has dropped out of the server. No explanation as to why. We're going to assume that it's a technical hardware internet network failure, ladies and gentlemen. One of those what we would call mechanical problems of the sim world, other technical issues, and he's not been seen for about 5 or 6 laps, so it's fair to say that he's going to be classified as a DNF from here. And the reason why we can tell you that that's been a dropout is because there is a no-tow rule in this series. So if he'd fallen afoul somewhere around the racetrack and was stranded, that would have been a call into race control, safety car boards and flags, and let's bunch the field up. So a technical problem has derailed Josh Horton's opening night of school for 2026. Bo Albert, Jacob O'Reilly, Tom Free, Rain Campbell, Dylan Pereira, all on a pit road. Josh Anderson out in 17th at the moment. In behind him is Lachlan Capel. We pick up the lead 5 once more. Look at James Scott and Robbie Gibbs. Obviously, Madison Downs looking good for the OG Gear Hard Charger, but driver of the night, you and I spoke about this, that there were some ideas doing the rounds about what we could incorporate from the commentary standpoint this season. Nominating our driver of the night, 3 votes to Robbie Gibbs already, irrespective of what happens from here, considering that he's made it to lap 26, which is probably at least 50% further than he expected to make it.
Mate, absolutely. We absolutely thought it was just going to be almost a start and park, but great effort from Robbie, and there's no doubt that if it was a 3-2-1 vote, he'd absolutely grabbed 3 votes for what he's had to go through. And then, Madison Down at the moment, knocking on the door for a possible P10 maybe. He'd be looking at 2 votes. You think it's so hard to toss up between the 2, but when you think about the fact that Robbie Gibbs actually had surgery yesterday, that's a big call.
Absolutely remarkable. Andrew Gilliam, Jared Philsell, Luke Rosella, James Scott, Robbie Gibbs, Brady Myers. I've seen blokes go down with man flu for longer than what Robbie Gibbs has been down for the count for. It's 13 laps to go. Gilliam the leader. When are they coming to pit lane? They're in the window. They can make that stop at any time, ladies and gentlemen. Are they holding out for that yet-to-be deployed safety car? And it'll only be deployed if it's absolutely necessary to deploy it, ladies and gentlemen. If we can go through this one safety car free, that'll be a huge feather in the cap of Sebring as a venue and a huge pat on the back for all and sundry, but it will obviously be to the demise of a few strategy game plans that were relying on one to be thrown. And probably based on previous history, you'd be a brave man to back against not seeing the safety car tonight. Rick Kuznetsov, Madison Down, Hayden Veld all to pit lane.
Yep, so like the Madisons, he's rolled the dice. He's going to get that other pit stop over and done with and hopefully just jump a couple of cars. But for me, if I'm one of these drivers or teams, I'm not worried about the safety car. I don't imagine it's going to make an appearance. Never say never. But I think the way that this race is played out for the moment, you've got to race it and race your strategy like it's green as we go to the OG Gear replay. Oh, it's a big dive. A Blacklock just... That's Braille, isn't it? That's Braille for I'm coming through.
Yep. Bit of a Code Brown moment, I would suggest, as well. Heart and mouth stuff there. But again, clean enough. They got away with it. Yes, they might have exchanged a bit of paint, but fair game. As they say in America, Robbins Racing as they make their way back around the Lobs Esports stable, doing what they have done on so many occasions before. There's a run. Robbie Gibbs goes to fourth, and James Scott, they're side by side and behind. Have a look at those two having at it. Robbie Gibbs goes to fourth on James Scott.
Yeah, so I wonder if, just James might have just felt that Robbie had a little bit more pace, so he's moved over and let Robbie through. So good heads-up driving there. Let's see the replay. Oh, he's touched the grass. So that's what's happened. He's got on the marbles. So that's obviously, it's taken him a little bit to gather it up. So he's just lost that momentum. And, Robbie Gibbs has been given a free kick, basically.
Absolutely, he has. Magnificent for Robbie Gibbs. But, again, the strategy play here, the Orbit Drop Bear, the Lobs Esport boys are all on the same strat. Robbie Gibbs and James Scott are on pit road because they took a shorter stop in the opening transit of the lane. Also in that time through was Thomas McMillan. I think you'll find here down the main straight we go. Emily Jones is in position number 6 at the moment. Bradley Ratu following her through. So those guys move to 6th and 7th as this pit lane cycle plays out. James Scott, Brady Myers, Thomas McMillan, Robbie Gibbs, Adam Briggs, Josh Anderson and Jake Maloney all to pit lane that time through. And so far, so good for Emily Jones. A clean run for her, flying the flag A for the girls and B for Trans-Tasman Racing at the moment. Solid performance. And a good platform to launch the rest of the season off once we get through the next 6-week break. I can't believe it's that long between rounds and we've only had the first one tonight, Sam. Road Atlanta can't come quick enough. That'll be an absolutely magnificent spectacle, I'm sure. And Emily will be one to watch as the season plays on.
Yeah, she's on for a genuine top 10 here for Emily. So it's a great effort for the way she's gone about her racing today. So good start for 2026 for her. So really good to see. Obviously, we're now going to wait and see how all this plays out. You would imagine the pit stops that have taken place, it won't be too long before everyone else starts pitting as well. Because if you were battling guys around you, guys or girls, they've come in for maybe fresh tyres. You don't want to be out there for too much longer if they're on fresh tyres because they're going to get, obviously make ground on you. So it's going to be interesting to see how much longer some of these other teams leave it. Who's the highest? James Scott, for the moment, he's had his second stop in P10. So he's the highest of the drivers that have made their second stop. Lobs guys.
1, 2 and 3. Here we go. Andrew Gillian to pit lane first. So Phil Rosella play on. Gillian goes to pit lane on his own. Rhino Sullivan, good recovery, through to 4th, and he's got Zach Ratway-White to contend with. Ratway's got a shorter stop coming through this time as they make their way down pit lane as well. So too Jones and Radu. So a lot of drivers in this time through. And we go back there to, is that 16th, 13th spot, Sammy Blacklock. I think we might have just picked up there. No, Lachlan Capel, I apologise. Round onto the main straight in the Logitech Orbit Drop Bear ODBM. Yes, it's hard to get the alliteration going there, ladies and gentlemen. Just trying to remember all the letters in order. There's a lot of tongue-tied twisting potential within all of that, as I've just proven. And James Scott comes back out in 10th spot. Behind him is Robbie Gibbs. So Robbie Gibbs is still on for that battle for 4th on corrected order. But as you can see there, Sam, man, that deficit has overturned and the boys have come through with a bigger advantage up their sleeve for the Lobs Esports stable after a shorter pit stop second time through. So that invoice has sort of corrected itself, and that, corrected gap is now evident for everybody to see at home.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be too much shock when you see that the Lobs guys are going to be 1, 2, 3, and the fact that James Scott and Robbie Gibbs, they'll be battling for 4th and 5th. For 4th and 5th. So, look, at the end of the day, they've all done the right thing. They've put on a good show. They've had great cars. They've gapped the field, and with 10 laps to go, it won't be too much longer. But when you see the likes of Jared Filsell, Luke Rosella, and the field starting to just sort itself out.
So here is Blacklock under pressure from O'Sullivan down the inside. But Blacklock, I think I'm right in saying, still has one pit stop to come. Yes, he does. O'Sullivan does not. O'Sullivan on, we asked him off the top, didn't we? Where are the goalposts tonight? He seemed surprised that he was in the top 10 on genuine pacing qualifying, and anything beyond that was a bonus. For him to stay in the top 10 all night long, he's a name that you've got to keep an eye on as the season goes on as well. But it remains abundantly clear for all and sundry that Lobs Esport remain the benchmark in this series, the ones to beat in 2026. We go back to the 38 now and have a look at the Trans-Tasman traffic ahead. Phil Sell and Rosella back to pit road this time through. Burton and Ratu are arguing over the same piece of real estate on your screen at the moment, 14th and 15th. Ratu with the run down the back straight.
I was going to say, Burton was trying to play a little bit of rear gunner there for Emily Jones, but Ratu has got that pace, got the job done, so he's in front of Burton now. Obviously, Burton's got another pit stop to make, so that shouldn't be too much longer. But we see it all play out front. Looks like Gilliam will take the lead over Jared Philsell, Luke Rosella, and then Scott and Gibbs. That's your 4th and 5th position.
And still Gilliam. See, all of a sudden you go back to the defining moment as far as the top 3 is concerned. It really was the start. The fact that Gilliam was able to launch better than Philsell, got the whole shot, and has basically anchored the ship and led from the forefront for the balance of the evening. We're on lap 30. There'll be 8 to go at the line, and this is Andrew Gilliam's opening round to lose at this particular point in time. 29th and 27th and 28th on the racetrack there, ladies and gentlemen. Just having trouble identifying who we're up with. There's Blake Warboys in the WKMP entry, powered by SSR. Good to see him in 27th. I mean, not good to see him that far down the order, but good to see him out there, of course, in the thick of the action. Did get caught up in some garbage on the opening lap, but has recovered as best he can. And he's, of course, contending with the 28th place Marcelo Rivera in his rear view at the moment. Ryan Jones has had a relatively quiet run. Haven't seen too much of him down in 29th, and Will Buchanan has slotted back into 30th. Jacob O'Reilly has just gone back to 15th, and Bo Albert has been passed by Rick Kuznetsov. Having a look through, still Jake Burton to stop a second time. And that is it as far as the top 30 is concerned, as far as the top 40 is concerned. So just Jake Burton now to come in and cleanse the field second time through, and that will be the end of that as far as pit stop compulsory requirements are concerned. Madison down the inside. He's in the top 20. He's now making his way through. That's 18th. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Go up at the next target for him.
He'll be gifted one more spot when Jake Burton makes a pit stop too. So he'll be 16th, 17th, sorry. And then, trying to attack Bo Albert for 16th once it all plays out. So, yeah, it's...
he's on for a top 15.
He's making a charge, 8 laps to go. Good to see.
Plus 30 in the opening round will look almighty impressive on the score sheet, but it won't reflect the horror start of the night that he had. We still can't believe what unfolded in the final corner of his flying lap. Down the inside to 17th goes Madison down. Gets by Bo Albert, makes it look easy. Next target will be Jacob O'Reilly and then Wayne Burke and Rick Kuznetsov before that. In fact, Bo Albert just got hung out to dry there, didn't he? Hayden Veld, Adam Briggs take a piece of that. And in behind him is Jake Maloney. The floodgates have opened here. Maloney sliding all over the place. Oh, all hell's breaking loose with 7 to go.
Yeah, difficult part of the racetrack. You saw Bo just touch those marbles. There was a heap of them there, and Maloney had the same thing too. As soon as they got into those marbles, it just took them a little bit for him to gather that speed up. So, yeah, managed to push on now, but this is a battle for top 10. I said Emily Jones was on for a top 10, and here she is right here on the back of Thomas McMillan in the dying stages. Great run here.
He also found himself in the grass in the early stages of the race as well. 4 Lobs Esport entries in the top 10 at the moment, folks. But will that change with the assault being launched here by Jones and Ratu? They're applying the blowtorch, and now it's a question of whether or not Thomas McMillan can withstand the pressure.
Yeah, well, speaking of change, Jared Philsell is now our new leader over Andrew Gilliam. So that's happened while we've been going through the back of the field. So probably not too much of a surprise there. Jared obviously got good pace, was quite happy to sit behind Andrew Gilliam for probably a majority of the entire race. So he's now decided to push on, and he's got that position over his teammate.
Just to flex the muscle. Here's Jones down the inside. No. McMillan closes the door at Sunset Boulevard. It's not one of those parts of the racetrack where you really want to be comfortably driving through 2x2 if you can help it. We've seen some big incidents here in the past when that has been the case. Here goes Phil Sell. That move was clean. It was tidy. It was executed to a T and to perfection by the champion of last year, and as it stands, the championship leader in 2026 as well. Still McMillan under pressure from Jones and Ratu.
This is a great little battle because McMillan's obviously got to look back at Jones, but Jones has got to keep an eye on Ratu right behind her too.
And Burton to pit lane to cleanse the field, ladies and gentlemen. We're good to race to the checkered flag. Just the one retirement so far. That was Josh Horton due to a tech fault, or tech issue rather. James Chastanov, the last of the runners in the field at the moment, and still everybody on the lead.
Oh!
McMillan is wide. Jones with barely any room to work with, wedges herself down the inside, but McMillan keeps her at bay for the moment.
Well done on Emily. She didn't stick the nose in there. That could have made it turn real ugly. So she battled to fight for another day. So that was good heads up driving. But you could see the marbles, and it looked like just Emily had a little crack there, but obviously there was not enough room there. And I reckon that was great that she didn't push on with it, because that could have been contact and maybe a trip down the penalty lane.
Absolutely. Lack of grip. I mean, we haven't really spoken too much about the debris factor all night long, but now's our chance. You mentioned the marbles, more and more of them popping up around this 6.019 kilometre racetrack. These guys are grip limited. Their tyres are baked. They are absolutely cooked. They're on the ragged edge. These guys are duking it out for the final spot in the top 10. And it's all on the line. Three different teams fighting for it. Here comes Jones back down the inside. This time she wants to go 2x2 at Sunset. Sandman, and this time she gets it done. Emily Jones finds herself into the top 10 for TTR.
That was brilliant. She backed out of that, what could have been an incident, but she's still got her work cut out for her. McMillan's going to try around the outside, so he thinks better of it and gives her the pace. So she's obviously quite comfortable with that car. She knew she could fight for another day, but she just needs to keep her wits about her for the next half a lap or so, because McMillan will be pretty keen to get back up the inside.
I was wondering whether there might have been a switchback opportunity there for McMillan, but no, Jones shut the door and still shuts the door. And all the meanwhile, Bradley Ratter's got the best seat in the house at the moment. The seas could part for him. He could end up in the top 10 here any minute, because these two could exchange paint, could come to blows, and then Bradley Ratu would find himself in there's McMillan back down the inside. Exactly what we were talking about. McMillan falls full. Here comes Ratu. Two for the price of one. No, won't even get one in the end. Had to back out of it to avoid a 3-car pile-up.
Wow, it's still not over yet. Emily's right there. She might even make a dive up the inside. That's exactly what she's going to do. And he's going to carry through too. Oh, under the grass. Got a little bit sideways. And McMillan is going to give up.
McMillan goes back to 12th. And there comes Wayne Burke onto the back of this as well. 4 teams now fighting for the last spot in the top 10. And just behind that, O'Reilly, Kuznetsov, and Madison down. They're only 2 seconds away as well. This could be a 7-car fight in the final 5 laps. 5 to go at the line for the race leader, Jared Filsell, who's coming around Sunset Boulevard this time. 5 laps to go, and what's been a scintillating, caution-free opening round of the Logitech G Pro Invitational, live, exclusive and free across the platforms of the SimSpeed Esports Network and the Australian Sim Racing Group, also on Speed Cafe. Great to have you along. Here comes Burke making his move on McMillan now. Wayne Burke's going to 12th. Did McMillan have a slowdown there? I'm not sure. It looked too easy for Wayne Burke.
Yep, it looks exactly like that's what's happening. You see Madison down. He's pretty keen to pick off 2 more spots that are in front of him. So he's got Rick Kuznetsov, Jacob O'Reilly. But what Emily Jones wants to see behind her in her rearview mirror is everyone squabbling a little bit. But Brad Ratu, he's right there, and he's thinking about a pounce possibly. Not quite close enough at this stage, but still plenty to play out in the closing 5 laps.
Indeed. Oh, Filsell, Gilliam, Rosella, Scott, then Gibbs, then Ratway White, then O'Sullivan, then Myers, then Anderson, and Jones make up the top 10. Ratu can sniff a top 10, but is going to have to get past Emily Jones, who's driven a faultless race thus far and can defend her position when needed. This won't be easy for Bradley.
No, he's got his work cut out for him now. I think she's now got obviously a little bit of clear air in front of her. She can hit her marks and not sort of concern herself too much what's happening behind. So what she wants to do now is just open up that little bit of a margin and maybe break the back of Bradley Ratu, and then she can concentrate eyes forward. But a great job so far from Emily.
Oh, here we go. Back to Tommy Freer. And the next of the orbit drop bear entries, that's Lockie Capel. They're arguing over 22nd. Freer, of course, easy to identify because he's running that Australian green and gold Days of Thunder flashback. It's not Australian at all, but the first two colours you associate with green and yellow are Australia, of course, when you look at all our sporting uniforms all around the world in various number of different sports. But now we find our battle for... Have a look at this. This is the battle for fourth. So Zach Ratway White has lapped back on to Robbie Gibbs and James Scott. This is not done yet either, boys.
No, look, he's definitely got a little bit of pace here. So... yeah, Robbie Gibbs has obviously got to keep an eye out in his rearview mirror, whereas at the same point he's got James Scott, his teammate, in front of him. But Zach Ratway White is putting himself in a decent position where he might maybe be able to snuffle a P4.
Madison down side by side, bottom of shot, side by side. Massive crash!
He's in the wall!
Massive crash! Madison Down's night ends exactly where the drama started for him in qualifying. And that could be a safety car, and that would be a very quick clean-up to give us a one-lap dash to the line if he can't get it going to pit lane. We need to have another look at this. Contact with the Vermilion entry. Oh, my goodness.
No,
bang, look at that.
Why? There's no need for that. You don't reckon a straight line. Madison Downey's dream finish, battling to be inside the top 15 after starting in 45th position. I don't know, the stewards are going to really have to look at that one. There shouldn't have been that contact to fire him into the wall.
He can't get that car going. Do they leave him there under yellows or not? That's the question. It's 4 to go. Ryan Bettis back to pit lane now as well. 4 to go. It'll be 3 at the line. You'd need at least 2 to get the field under control and give us a one-lap dash. We could yet have a safety car here, folks. We wait and see. That car of Madison Downs totaled, done, and all that hard work undone in insane fashion. I'm lacking the superlatives required to describe it. And I know you are as well, Sam, man. And Sam Blacklock has been given a 5-second penalty as well for contact with the 333. And, there we go. So they've allowed him to tow straight to pit lane. This race will stay green. Madison Down has been given automatic permission to tow to the lane. So even race control would have thought that it'd be too hard a task to get the field all bunched back up and get this race back green before the checkered flag flies, Sam, man.
Well, look, at the end of the day, too, it was on that back straightaway, so it was out of harm's way. They could have probably covered it with a stationary yellow, but cooler heads prevailed, and we want to get a decent finish and not finish under safety car. So at the end of the day, I think it was probably the right decision.
Yeah, there'll be more to come of that, and Sandman's already said what needs to be said with regards to that. I'm going to reserve judgment until we hear more from race control, and I dare say our crew there, of course, Greg Favell and team, Mike Kurlov, of course, they will have a bit of tape to review on the back of that. Meanwhile, we stay green. The battle first, second, third, the teammates 1, 2 and 3 remains live. James Scott, Robbie Gibbs and Zach Ratway White remains live as well, and have a look at that. That's wow. And how well did the second of the cars involved there do to avoid Madison Down spearing back across the racetrack into the concrete?
Yeah, unfortunately, I got a couple of technical issues. I didn't quite catch that replay, unfortunately. But, yeah, look, we'll leave that up to
identifying who we're on board with, quite frankly. It was Hayden Veld that we're on board with. So thank you to Jay Kennedy for that. Yeah, wow. There'll be more said about that in due course. We might come back and have another look at it once Sandman's tech issues are sorted so that he can see it as well from the onboard shot. In the meantime, let's go back to our leaders. We're on lap 36, 2 to go at the line. Faultless drive from Lobs Esports tonight. And Jared Filsell picking up exactly where he left off here, ladies and gentlemen. Back-to-back wins at Sebring on the line. Back-to-back championships on the line. A cut above at the moment, remaining the benchmark in this series. 2 laps to go at the line. And when an extra gear is required, just that little extra poke and acceleration and everything else, a little bit of extra speed, Sam, man, required to put yourself back in front and undo the wrongs of the start where Gilliam got the jump and it was a brilliant hole shot. Jared Filsell has just activated that quite nicely and said, I'll take it from here, thanks very much. Boys, I'll lead, you follow.
Yeah, it's we shouldn't be too surprised, should we? Jared is a class act, and his stats show that too. Don't take anything away from him or the team, the way they prepare. They've obviously got a great package. They've got great people working in the background with the likes of Brady Kosecki and Shane Van Gisbergen, and obviously the drivers, Filsell, Gilliam, Rosella, like they all put in the work. These things just don't drive themselves. So they've got to come across a setup that they all enjoy to drive, and they've got to get the job done too. So they're ticking all the boxes. And yeah, look, at the end of the day, they're the form team at the moment, and that's what people need to try strive themselves to.
Everybody else will go back to the drawing board on the way to Road Atlanta in 6 weeks' time. Brady Myers and Ryan O'Sullivan still duking it out. O'Sullivan has been relegated here by Myers. Myers has gone to 7th. O'Sullivan up on the outside and running out of room. 2 wheels in the grass for O'Sullivan. And wide he goes through the marbles. Now vulnerable to Josh Anderson in 8th and 9th. And that's the leverage. That's the breathing space that Brady Myers needs to seal 7th here. And O'Sullivan's in all sorts of trouble. He'll do well to fend off Josh Anderson in the run to the checkered flag here.
Yeah, and while we've got Anderson on the screen too, a shout out to him. He's obviously taken part in the Mustang Cup this year, so good to see him behind the virtual wheel of a Mustang, and of course he will be in the real world too. So huge congratulations to Josh Anderson as we go back to the front, and it's Jared Filsell. 2 laps to go. It's going to be the white flag this time by. But an absolute clinic so far from the Lobs guys. 1, 2, 3 as Barney waves the white flag.
So it's very much a case of the kings and the princes of this field, the masters and the apprentice. And Jared Filsell has made it abundantly clear to all and sundry that he has no intention of going down without a fight if anyone's to dethrone him this season. Clinical performance tonight, did what was required last gasp in qualifying, and now will lead home a domination, a lockout of the podium. These guys will finish exactly where they started, 1, 2 and 3. Now all eyes on that battle for 4th. All credit to Robbie Gibbs. Magnificent drive from him. Can he find a way past James Scott on this final lap? What can Zach Ratway-White do? Will they just be content with the idea of coming home, bagging the points and pushing on to the next round of the series, as I said, in 6 weeks' time? We say 6 weeks as though it's a long time, not at the pace in which this year is passing us by already, ladies and gentlemen. Zach Ratway-White has nothing to be disappointed about there, even though he's down 2 on where he started. Robbie Gibbs is a star in the top 10 here, +7, +8 for Emily Jones as well. So 2 absolute standout performers inside the top 10 tonight. But it's Lobs Esports that are going to lock out the podium and finish exactly where they started. And we'll hear from them all after the race here, ladies and gentlemen. Do stick around. The post-race show coming up in just a few moments' time. I'm on a tight rein there. Apparently I talk too much, so we're going to try and tighten it up a little bit and get you out of here so you can go off and have an early night. But what a performance this has been. And he doesn't need the number 1. Everyone just associates him with the position number 1. Jared Filsell, clinical in Florida. Last turn, checkered flag, 1, 2, 3. Lobs Esports sweep the pool and clean us out in the opening round of the 2026 Logitech G Pro Invitational Series at the Sebring International Raceway in Florida. Zach Ratway-White gets by Robbie Gibbs on the final lap because Gibbs has copped a slowdown that close to home. That's unfortunate for him, but Ratway-White will take a top 5 when it was looking like he was just going to miss out. And also Josh Anderson getting a slowdown, and Ryan O'Sullivan has got back by Brady Myers on the final lap as well. Emily Jones is going to hold up Bradley Radu for 10th. Great drive from her. McMillan comes home 12th. Burke, O'Reilly and Kuznetsov, the top 15, but let's stress provisionally there because at ASA Race Control will be having a look at that battle pack and the incident involving Madison Down. Andre Yusuf in 28th position. Not the easiest night out for him, nor Sam Blacklock, who's in there behind him. They're going to come home 28th and 29th. But Sam, man, hats off and nothing but a round of applause for Lobs Esports. They've cleaned up, carved up yet again, and everybody now needs to go back to the drawing board and find that extra gear that they seem to raise the bar every year. When you think, when you get to the start of the year, it's a clean slate and you think, righto, there's some genuine contenders here. Lobs Esports say, nah, we're not having a bar of that. We'll find another gear as well, and you've still got to play the catch-up game.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, they've shown exactly why they are probably the number one sim team in supercars at the moment because of how dominant they were. They pretty much controlled that race from the drop of a green flag. As we go to the OG Gear replay, this is Ryan Jones, and looks like, that's door handle.
No. Jones and Buchanan have come together on the final lap. Jones had the car all out sideways and slipping and sliding. Grip limited, obviously. And unfortunately, Will Buchanan's become collateral in all of that.
Yeah, that's such a shame. And it always hurts on that last lap too because he's just given away a handful of positions that he worked so hard for all night. And unfortunately, he's thrown him to the wayside.
Which brings me back to the point. There are the results for you at home, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to ask you one more question in a moment, Sam, man. We'll get to our interviews in just a tick. Philsell, Gilliam, Rosella, 0.5 the margin, separating the top three in the end. Race time was, what'd we go, about an hour and 20 minutes or thereabouts, ladies and gentlemen. Not a bad run in all of that. And we went caution-free all the way by the skin of our teeth. So very well done to all and sundry. It's very rare that we go caution-free around here. James Scott in for 4. Zach Rowe White fifth. Robbie Gibbs, Ryan O'Sullivan, Brady Myers, Josh Anderson, Emily Jones, the top 10. 3 TTR entries in the top 10. 2 from the Chiefs, 2 from Eclipse, and 3 from Lobs Esports. So it's no doubt who the dominant forces are in this series after the opening round here. But there's still 3,525 kilometres worth and 14 races to come, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look over the page. 11 through 20. Good result for Bradley Radu. Might be a little bit disappointed he missed out on the top 10 there in the end, but still competitive. Thomas McMillan, 12th. Lost out late in the piece there, but did well to fend off Emily Jones for as long as he did. Wayne Burke, Jacob O'Reilly, Rick Kuznetsov, a bit of an asterisk around all of that because of what happened with Madison Down. Adam Briggs, Hayden Veld, Jake Maloney, Damon Woods, and Lachlan Capel. And I hate saying asterisks at this time of the night, Sam, man. You don't like seeing results being provisional and incidents like that overshadowing the night, but it's impossible to ignore. Race Control will be having a look at the tape in a few moments' time, I would suspect. Tom Freer, Rain Campbell, Dylan Pereira, Blake Warboys, Bo Albert, Kurt Stenberg, Will Buchanan recovered after that contact with Ryan Jones, 27th. Andre Yusuf, Sam Blacklock, and Brad Newman. Not bad from Blacklock considering he was in the weeds on the opening lap and stone motherless last. Brenton Hobson, Wayne Walker, Dennis Gaderick, Jake Burton, Brian Borg. Didn't see much of him tonight, nor Will Sapstead. Costly for Ryan Jones, down to 37th. About 10 spots he's lost there on that final lap. Angus Lawford, Jordan Mazzaroli and Marcelo Rivera. Only 3 more to run through here. Matty Bowler, Ryan Bettis and James Chastanov. Not yet a lap down, and just the 2 retirements. Madison's got past 75%, but the fact that he's had to get on the tow rope, I'm not sure. I'd have to go and check the sport and tech regs of the series as to whether or not he's going to bank points for 44th. And James Horton there in 45th. We've lost the great Sam Mann for the moment, so he's got a couple of tech issues, so we'll come back to him shortly. We'll have the top 3 standing by from Lobs Esports for you in just a moment. Might be an opportunity to fill the gap here, Jay, to remind everybody what's coming up on the platforms of the SimSpeed Esports Network and also, of course, the Australian Sim Racing Group. That's what we've got to look forward to as far as the Logitech G Pro Invitational is concerned, folks. Really excited about the next round, the first of 3 sprint rounds in this campaign. Coming to you from right Atlanta. Hopefully Rankin's back in full flight and at 100% fitness for that one. Wednesday, April 29, 7:45. Make note of that, Australian Eastern Standard Time, of course. Round 1, 10, 11 and 12 of this series will be in Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Rounds 2 to 9, Australian Eastern Standard Time. We've got our great mate, the Sandman, back in just a moment. Really excited about this, the ASRG Porsche Pro Invitational Series. Round 1 comes to you from Hockenheim in Germany. Of course, the last time we were there, we had an absolute ball with the supercar qualifying series. That is Wednesday, the 1st of April, 9 p.m? No, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I thought that was the case. I was going to say 9 p.m. That's a late night. Then the ASRG, we're excited about this one. This one's 9 p.m. just so the Queenslanders can catch up, quite frankly. And that's the last of those jokes for the evening from me. The ASRG Sprint Car Pro Invitational. Really excited about that. From Volusia Speedway Park. I hope I got Volusia. Got that, Volusia. Thank you. Wednesday, the 25th of March. So that's only next week, 7 days away. And again, our team will be with you to bring you all the action of the new offering from the Australian Sim Racing Group. So that is completely new. Porsche takes the place filled by the gap of the Exeter GT3. Really excited about the Porsche series. Heavily stacked with the who's who of Australian sim racing, much like this series is. And, of course, we're going dirt racing in between. And Sandman, for all the guys in our cohort here that love their bitumen racing, there's just as many that love their dirt racing as well. So to see some sprint car and speedway racing incorporated into our offerings here on the Australian Sim Racing Group broadcast platforms this season with the help of the SimSpeed Esports Network, mate, the best of all worlds covered on the iRacing platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that there's a little bit of, a little bit of everything for everyone. And that's it's exciting for 2026 and really looking forward to all the broadcasts, whether it's in the commentary box or sitting on the couch.
We'll have our drivers with us in just a moment. Stay with me, Sam Man, because I do want to have a chat with you about a couple of things at the end there. We didn't get a chance to do it in the interim because you had a tech dropout at your end. Hopefully you can stay with us for the bulk of the interviews here. However, let's start with our race winner, and I'll take up front running here. Jared, clinical performance, mate. I mean, the only piece of the puzzle that didn't necessarily fall your way was the start. Andrew Gilliam, a blinder of a hole shot. You tucked in, you followed him through, and then eventually you said, no, enough of this. I'm done with following. I want to lead, and you did so for the final few laps, mate. Great drive, faultless from the Lobs Esports stable. You three come home exactly where you start. Great start of the season for the team and a great start to your championship defence. Back-to-back wins at Sebring.
Yeah, thank you. Some could say that was strategic, getting a poor start and saving all that fuel behind my teammate. He got a ripper. So I let him punch the hole for a little bit, and yeah, we had pretty good pace, all three of us together in testing, and it came to fruition in the race as well. Quite surprised to see the gap that big, to be honest, for round one. Yeah. But that's that is what it is.
Firmly cements your status as the benchmark team, though, at the moment, mate. Everybody else has now got 6 weeks to go back to the drawing board and try and find something to try and offer up some sort of a challenge to you when we get to Road Atlanta. I don't want to keep you too long. It's been a big night, and we're on a time frame here. So let's fast forward to Road Atlanta. Your initial thoughts on how that might play out for you, but also, how do you fill the gap between now and then, mate? Because, your title defence is off to a roaring start. No doubt the intention is to go on with this and go back-to-back and tick all the boxes in between. But how do you fill the gap between now and Road Atlanta, and when does the prep for that start?
I don't mind, to be honest. I'm not on the sim all that much. But, yeah, I'll do a bit of NASCAR racing in between, which is cool. Once a week. That'll just keep me somewhat fresh. Road Atlanta was really good for us last year. We've got a really good baseline to start from. We might be able to make a few little tweaks and improve it from what we've learnt throughout the back end of last year. So, yeah, that'll be cool. Interesting track, not much passing, so that'll be a qualifying track, I think. So as long as we can qualify up the front, we should hopefully stay up the front. But I'd like to give a quick shout out to Luke. He doesn't get on the podium too much. He actually went in the wrong door to the hearing room, not the interview room. So, yeah, he's just gone in the wrong door, unfortunately. And also, shout out to OG Gear, Paulie, jumping on board this year with all the boys. It's great to have his business on the car and represent OG Gear.
Mate, any other final thoughts from you? Anyone else you'd like to thank? Because really, when you put in a performance that faultless and that seamless, there's not too much to really dissect and pick apart with you.
Yeah, give a shout out to Thomas doing his first serious race in a long, long time. He went back 2 spots, but it's a lot of established drivers around him. And he didn't have any fuel calculator for tonight, so that was a bit of a headache for him. So he should be good for the coming rounds, as well as Brad starting up as well. This is probably the most competitive series he's ever raced in. So for him to move forward from down the back is an improvement for him. And yeah, hopefully he'll get better as the season goes along. Quick shout out to Bush for helping with the dock work this week. When he gets on the sim, pests us to get on and do some laps, although sometimes we don't want to. And as long as Dino and Geordie for jumping in and spotting tonight as well. Couldn't do it without them.
I'm going to throw in one extra question here, and I know I'm breaking rank here, but I think it's important that we highlight, you mentioned the return of Thomas McMillan and the fact that he's banked a solid result, good haul of points, solid platform to build on for the rest of the campaign, right? But how do you, as the team leader and as the benchmark of the series proper, go about trying to help him in any way, which way you can between now and when we get to Road Atlanta? What role do you play as the team boss here?
Well, he has JRT now, so we didn't have enough time to set that up for him this afternoon. I jumped on as the server went up, so I was out of prep coming into here, just warming up and whatnot. But I think he'll be okay. He just needs to look at the data and analyze a lot of things. We both right foot brake, so it's transferable data. It's not useless for him looking at Luke or Andrew when they left foot brake, or Brody as well. So he's got the best data to look at, so it's just up to him to execute.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Congratulations again. Solid result. Enjoy the break and good luck with the NASCAR stuff in between now and when we get to Road Atlanta. We look forward to seeing you there at the end of April, and it will come around as quick as the first rounds come around. We know that. It seems like a long time. It's not in this caper. Well done again tonight. That was magnificent.
Thank you.
Sam, man, I'm going to let you talk to the driver that was like a cat on a hot tin roof and bolted out of the gates like the bull at the gates. Andrew Gilliam in second place.
Yeah, congratulations, Andrew. Great night. You led most of the race, obviously surrounded by some close teammates, obviously, with your Lobs team. And, mate, brilliant race and a good way to start off 2026.
Yeah, finally, like a bit of a monkey off my back for Sebring. I think it's my first, round 1 podium in any championship I've ever done. So, yeah, finally just locked in. This track especially doesn't suit my driving style. I can't deal with understeer too well, and it tortures the front. So, yeah, good. I think I'm finally, closing the ground with, the philosophy of how you race these cars and get the average lap time out of it.
The cars looked good, mate, on screen. They look like a dream to drive. It's never easy, but it looks like you three were just cruising and controlling the race from the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, man. The boys have done a fantastic job with the setup. I can't take any credit because I've been so busy with supercars and GT3, but yeah, hopped on this week and they've gifted me with probably the best car I've ever driven for a whole race. Like, hands down, that was just so fun. I've never felt this fresh finishing a Pro Series race. So, absolute testament to how hard they've worked in the last couple of weeks to get ready for this event.
We won't hold you up too much, mate. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just big shout out to OG Gear. Thanks for coming on this year. Hope you enjoy the ride.
There you go. Congratulations, Andrew. P2, great way to start the championship. And Zach, I'll hand it over to you, Luke Rosella, if we can let him into the commentary box, and you can have a chat with Luke.
Well, it's interesting that his teammate, Jared Filso, was more than happy to throw him under the bus and say that he went to the wrong rating room. Any truth to that, Luke?
Yeah, unfortunately, he's correct. Zach, went through the wrong door, mate.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I'm pretty used to going to the. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I went through the wrong door, so I had a good finish to my race, I guess.
Great night, mate. I mean, obviously, started third, finished third, followed those boys throughout the course of the evening. Was there anything to offer your teammates, or was it not worth the risk in trying to advance your position in the field?
Oh, look, I mean, definitely the first 2 stints was very strategical for me, just saving fuel behind Jared. He was saving fuel as well. So too was Gilliam to a certain degree. But yeah, just saving fuel behind Jared in the first 2 stints. And, it gave us a pretty good advantage over the rest of the pack behind us, who were basically pushing to try keep with us. And then, the last stint was actually pretty interesting. The car was just on rails. Shout out to Brody Kostecki for helping us throughout the week with that. And yeah, I got pretty close to Gilly at the end. I got a slowdown, which is quite annoyingly because I was feeling really good and got a slowdown, but was catching Gilly at the end. And yeah, that last lap I was close, but I didn't want to risk, having a shunt with Gilly and costing us a 1, 2, 3. So I played it pretty safe and thought about the championship.
And on that subject, long way to go. How much confidence do you take out of that result tonight? And I guess confidence is a big thing at this time of the season, but so too is momentum. It's all with you guys at the moment. How do you look to build on that when we get to Road Atlanta, mate?
Oh, I'm so wrapped because the last 3 years I've had an absolutely terrible start to each season, either DNFing or having a poor finish. So I'm so excited to finally start the season in a good way. So I'm going to try carry this through and see where we end up. Try and make the top 16 in the finals.
And look, let's be perfectly honest, 4 in the top 12 as far as the team we're concerned. That's the icing on the cake for you guys. The fact it's a statement-making performance, the way in which you guys went 1, 2, 3 on the grid, solid banker early, of course, in that session. And Jared came off and finished it off in the final minute, of course. And then to go out and back that up with a race result, that sends a tremendous message through the paddock that you guys remain the team to beat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we worked pretty hard throughout the week. We tried some slightly different directions, and we obviously found a really, really good one. So yeah, also shout out to Thomas. Very, very good finish from him. He's sort of returned to the big leagues of the V8 community. So really wrapped for him, and also Brad. He didn't have a lot of prep time, so he also had a really good finish. So shout out to those two.
Anyone else you'd like to thank while we've got you, buddy?
Yes, also I want to thank AG Gear, our main sponsor for this year. It's great what they do, all their products. So yeah, thanks to them.
And on that subject, mate, thank you to you. Well done. 1, 2, 3 for the team. Go and celebrate that. We'll see you at Road Atlanta. Final thoughts from Sandman, Stephen Clark. When you look at that schedule, mate, it's 6 weeks away. It'll come around like that. And then 2 weeks to Spa, 3 weeks to the Autodromo, Hermanos Rodriguez, then the Enduros much earlier in the year, Phillip Island, Sandown, Bathurst, Shell V Power Motorsport Park at the Bend. Watch your social media feeds with regards to what circuit configuration will be running over there is the hotmail that I've got at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. That's September 2. 3 weeks later, we're at the clothesline, as it was affectionately coined by Dick Johnson. Then we go to the newest track in the iRacing universe, St. Petersburg in Florida. So we come back to Florida. We stay on the east coast of America for all our trips to the US in this series. To be announced, to be confirmed, to be advised for Remembrance Day, November 11, and then off to the Adelaide Parklands on the 2nd of December. And, of course, only 48 hours after that, we'll have a rare Friday night outing for the Porsche Pro Invitational Series Grand Final week on the streets of Adelaide, only a few days after the Real World Supercars Grand Finale at the same venue. Looking forward to that. Sandman, summarise all of that for me. What a hell of a way to start the season.
Sebring didn't disappoint, mate. There's been some highs and lows throughout tonight. The calendar is in full swing for 2026. Some great racetracks, plenty of action to look forward to. Already can't wait for round 2. Bring on Sebring. Road Atlanta.
Yeah. No, don't worry, I had it mixed up because I said Spa earlier in the night. Anyway, we're very much excited about what's coming up. I'll get back to that in a moment. I love how there's two things here that I want to touch on. I love how there's an overlap between the guys that support us, and they're also involved with the teams as well. Logitech and OG Gear, both heavily involved with some of our front-running teams. Orbit Drop Bear, of course, in the case of Logitech. And as the boys from Lobs have just said, OG Gear are on board with them this season. So I love that those that are involved with us are also tied into this through a team to support along the way as well, mate. It gives them added incentive to keep an eye on what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And great to have such support through our sim racing community, and helps us bring our series to you. And we thank everyone that's involved.
And the lack of risk taking on that final lap, I was quite impressed by, mate, because there's no point in binning it on the final lap when it's round one, it's race one of a 15-race championship. Look at the guys in 4th, 5th and 6th there, 176, 172, 168 points they all pocketed tonight. Had they come to blows or run into trouble and not been able to get to the checkered flag, they're all of a sudden looking at 20, 24, 28 points. Big difference, mate. Might make all the difference when we get to Adelaide in December.
Absolutely. And you think about what Madison Down went through tonight, the highs and lows that he had. So he's got his work cut out for him, as do a few people. So, yeah, bring it on.
All right, we're done because I'm getting told that the post-race show is over time. So let's wrap it up. Sam, man, thank you for steering me through that one. Nice to step in and keep the seat warm for S-Rank. And I only ever get called off the bench when either one of you are incapacitated in some way, shape or form in either the vocal department not wanting to play ball or being just crook in general. But I look forward to hopefully catching up with you guys when we get to the Enduros later in the season. Well done again tonight.
Thanks, buddy. Good to have you on board, and thanks for stepping in. Scotty dropped a cylinder tonight, but he'll be back for round 2, and thanks. Appreciate all your work, Zach.
Actually, we dropped a cylinder last time we worked together. We didn't tonight because there weren't the usual fireworks you'd expect with Sebring, ladies and gentlemen, but we picked up exactly where we left off. Jared Philsell, a back-to-back winner at the Sebring International Raceway, and Lobs Esports remain the team to beat in the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. We do it with thanks to Logitech, with thanks to Speed Cafe, OG Gear, and also the Australian Sim Racing Group. Shout out to Robbie Gibbs. That's a magnificent performance. Injured it all and got himself into 6th spot. He wasn't the biggest mover of the night, but he was one of the more impressive performers in a field where 43 of the 45 starters saw the checkered flag and they all got home on the lead lap. That's it from us. The Speedway Sprint Car Series starts next Wednesday night in this time slot, a little bit later, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're back the week after for the Porsche Pro Invitational Series from the Hockenheim Ring. We look forward to all that and more in a big year on the platforms of the Australian Sim Racing Group and the SimSpeed Esports Network. On behalf of Sam Clark, Jay Kennedy, our entire broadcast commentary and production team here, well done to Lobs Esports and Jared Philsell. Enjoy what's left of your Wednesday night, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday, the one after that, and just about everyone after that between now and December, as a big year for the Australian Sim Racing Group finally kicks in to full swing. Have a great evening, everybody. Bye for now.
One click is the difference between winning or watching. And this is the fastest click in the world. Powered by revolutionary HITS technology. With custom actuation, rapid trigger reset, and click intensity. Tuned to your competitive play. We didn't just evolve the click. We reinvented it. Built on the precision of Hero 2. Trusted with Lightspeed Wireless. Forged in a championship-winning design. And made yours through G-Hub. Pro X2 Super Strike. Designed with pros. Engineered to win.
Hi, my name's Courtney Prince, and last year I competed in Porsche Carrera Cup with BWT. Today I've been on the sims with the OG race gear. I love the new gloves. They're really breathable and awesome, so you don't get sweaty hands using your normal race gloves on the sim. The socks are also really good. You don't get sore feet on the sim. I also think in training they'll be really handy as well.